Last 9 versus St. Louis, and need a win here tonight to avoid a sweep at Busch Stadium before it's off to Milwaukee for 3 games against the Brewers beginning on Friday. And on the mound for the Redbirds tonight, your Arizona Ford starting pitcher for the Cardinals, Lance Lynn, 28-year-old right-hander, making his 10th start this year, looking for his 4th win. He's among the top 10 in the National League in strikeouts. Here's D-backs hitting coach Turner Ward.
You're going to see a multitude of fastballs from this guy tonight. And, so we really, as hitters, we want to just stay in our zone. We want to be able to, stay on our pitch and be looking and stay in the area that we want to hit, because he's capable and able to pitch to all areas.
Well, Lance Lynn, 3-4, a 3.46 ERA, and in just under 55 innings of work this year, he has struck out 62 batters and walked Bob just 17.
Yeah, talk about a multitude of fastballs as you get a look at Lance Lynn's numbers this season. He'll throw his fastball about 80% of the time. He also has a good slider. He'll mix in an occasional curve and changeup if necessary, but I think the Diamondbacks hitters would be well advised to follow Turner Ward's advice and get on that fastball.
Yeah, it's hard to find any starting big league pitchers who rely as much on the fastball as Lance Lynn does, because he's got 3 different ones.
Yep. The 4-seamer if he wants to ride it up at the top of the strike zone, a 2-seamer if he's looking for a ground ball, and a cutter if he wants to get in on a left-handed hitter or away from a righty.
Cardinals begin play today, leading the National League Central by 4.5 games over the Chicago Cubs, so a chance for Ender Inciarte and the Diamondbacks here to head to Milwaukee on a winning note and get this series finale. 2 exciting ball games so far. Both games went right down to the wire, but the Diamondbacks have twice come up on the short end and trying to steal one here before it's on the airplane right after the ball game. Inciarte at 3:03. The crew chief Eric Cooper is our plate umpire, and we are underway at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Ender had a base hit in last night's ball game. He's hit safely in 3 straight. Little easy fly ball out to Jason Hayward in right field. And that's the first out. The lineup for Chip Hale's Arizona Diamondbacks.
Ender Inciarte at the top, playing left field tonight. A.J. Pollock making his way to the plate in center field. Paul Goldschmidt at first base. Vote Goldie. Yasmani Tomas at third base. Mark Trumbo in right field. Cliff Pennington getting the nod at second base tonight. Tuffy Gosewish behind the plate. Nick Ahmed red hot over his last 5 games, including a homer last night. He'll be at short, and Josh Comenter on the mound.
Don't forget the hashtag Vote Goldie. The campaign is underway. A.J. Pollock in the 2-hole tonight. There's Goldie as always with that back foot up against the wall in the on-deck circle. Hashtag Vote Goldie. First results are out in the All-Star voting as A.J. Pollock sends one right back up the box and knocks it into center field. And so A.J. continues. He now has, after that base hit, 15 hits in his last 30 at-bats. And here is hashtag Vote Goldie. Batting .331, 12 homers, and 38 RBIs. Goldie 0 for 3 last night. He walked twice and struck out twice. Had a pair of hits in Monday's series opener. And he looks at ball 1. Paul Goldschmidt second in the National League at OPS, behind only Bryce Harper. And those are certainly all-star caliber numbers. Cardinals are already well represented in the first National League vote count. They have 4 starters as of this moment in the All-Star game, which is this summer being played at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, only on Fox.
Cardinals in the National League and the Royals in the American League. I would say stuffing the ballot box, but since it's all online this year, I don't know exactly what you call that.
It's a lot of clicks.
Well, Goldie could certainly use your clicks. Out there in the desert playing those late games, a lot of people on the East Coast aren't familiar with Paul Goldschmidt, even though he's one of the best players in the game. Goldie would appreciate your help.
Tell you what, we walked back to the hotel last night after the ball game with Goldie on the street. It was like the Beatles. I mean, they were chasing him down. So a high bouncer to shortstop. Peralta, Wong, and Goldie beats it out. They can't turn two. Vote total so far, he's behind Adrian Gonzalez and Anthony Rizzo. Matt Adams, fourth in the voting. They think he might be out for the year now.
Wow.
Injured his quadricep in the ball game last night, went on the 15-day DL. They initially said it's serious, it's a tear. He's going to be out longer than 15 days. And there was some Twitter news earlier, just before the ball game, with John Mozeliak being quoted as saying he might be gone for the year, Matt Adams.
Yeah, get your rest, Mark Reynolds.
Yasmani Tomas, talk about all-star numbers, 349. And just his fourth start this year, batting in the cleanup spot. And Tomas, what can you say? We highlighted this at the top of the broadcast. He has been rolling here this month, a 10-game hitting streak, during which he's batting .435, 6 extra base hits, and 9 RBIs. And 8 of those 10 games during the streak are multi-hit games. Belts it toward Hayward in right field. It drops in front. And the Gold Glove right fielder, who's had a dicey series out there, almost lets it get behind him. Goldie stops at second. And so Tomas just keeps on hitting. Make it 11 games in a row now with a base hit.
And once again, it comes on a fastball on the inside part of the plate. That inside out swing, leading with the knob of the bat, letting the barrel drag behind just a little bit, produces a solid line drive into right field. Stay hot.
Moving up the Rookie of the Year charts in the National League. Longest active hitting streak in the league, along with Ian Desmond and Brandon Crawford. So 2 on, 2 out for Trumbo.
I know it's first inning of the ball game, but this is a big at bat already. The Diamondbacks have really struggled to get runners home when they're in scoring position. They've left 21 runners on base in this series. They're 2 for 19 with runners in scoring position, and one of the 2 hits didn't even drive in a run.
Diamondbacks, you'll recall, last night scored 2 in the first against Jaime Garcia, but the Cardinals answered with 4 in the home half against Archie Bradley. 0-1 on Trumbo. Mark has a pair of hits in this series, including that big 8th inning home run that tied Monday's series opener before the D-backs lost in extras on the Johnny Peralta walk-off. And we have seen Mark generally hit either second or fourth in the batting order. Tonight in the 5 spot, as Chip Hale continues to shuffle things a bit. Good take by Mark there, and he's ahead 2 balls and 1 strike. Lays off there, and it's 3-1. Diamondbacks, Bob, it seems, generally do pretty well against fastball throw. It seems they struggle more with the Odrisamer, Despaigne junk baller types. Fastball guys, they seem to do okay.
I would imagine Odrisamer doesn't prefer the term junk ballers. He's a finesse pitcher.
That's right, sorry. Everything but the rosin bag. 3-1. Ball 4. So the bases are loaded with 2 outs for Cliff Pennington. Chip Hale said before the ball game he wanted to get Penny in there. Was initially going to start him at shortstop and put Chris Owings at second base, but the CO has really worked a lot over the last few days with Turner Ward on that hitting stroke, and so he's a little worn out. Plus Nick has really been swinging a hot bat lately, so he decided to go with Ahmed at shortstop and Pennington getting the start at second.
You know, even though he doesn't have much to show for it, Cliff has put together some pretty good at-bats lately. This isn't one of them.
Bouncer right to Wong. They go the short way for the force on Trumbo, and the Diamondbacks load him up but cannot get a run across against Lance Lynn. Just underway at Busch Stadium. long history through 22 games, 17-5 at Busch Stadium. And the Diamondbacks will turn to Josh Comenter to try and avoid the sweep. He is your Arizona Ford starting pitcher, and looking to regain the form that's made him one of the Diamondbacks' most dependable pitchers the last few seasons. We asked Josh, what's the key for him here tonight?
The biggest thing for me is fastball command. Everything that I do otherwise with changeups and curveballs plays off of that, to be able to control both sides of the plate and work down in the zone. And then if I'm working down, all the other breaking stuff going down is even better, and then I can throw balls up in the zone and maybe get swings.
He is your Arizona Ford starting pitcher, 3-5 on the year. The ERA, which at the end of last month was 2.76, has nearly doubled over the course of May. And he's not won since May the 6th. Kolten Wong gets a hold of one, sends Trumbo back to the wall, and that is gone, a home run. Kolten Wong, his 6th, and just like that, the Cardinals take a 1-0 lead. Well, after allowing only one home run in 5 starts in April, Josh Comenter has now given up 8 home runs in just over 4 starts here in May. Chip Hale is out to have a discussion. Did that go or not?
Really tough to tell on that initial replay. Maybe a better look this time from center field, looking back toward the play. And yeah, it hit the message board out there, which is behind the fence. You can see a couple feet behind the fence, and Chip is satisfied with the explanation he got from Eric Cooper.
Chris Guccione, the plate umpire, ran up the right field line there to have a look, and he immediately signaled home run. So 1 pitch, 1 run for the Cardinals, and here's Matt Carpenter. The long ball has really been an issue for Josh this month. It's been a big part of the problem.
Well, you heard Josh give his own scouting report, and certainly John Mabry, the hitting coach for the Cardinals, and this entire Cardinals offense, they're well aware of Josh Comenter and how he likes to pitch and what he needs to do. And Kolten Wong, looking on that first pitch fastball, did not wait.
Well, that's the 3rd time Mike Matheny's team has had the first batter of the game homer. Matt Carpenter's done it twice. That was Wong right there. Carpenter lifts this in the air to very shallow left field. Inciarte's underneath. And that's the first out. The lineup for Mike Matheny's Redbirds here tonight.
Instant offense. Kolten Wong at the top, playing second base. Matt Carpenter at third base. Matt Holliday making his way to the plate right now, has reached in 42 straight games, tied for the most in franchise history. Johnny Peralta at shortstop. Randall Grichuk in center field. Yadier Molina catching. Mark Reynolds in at first base for Matt Adams. Jason Hayward slides all the way down to the 8th spot out in right field, and Lance Lynn on the mound for the Cards.
Yeah, if Hayward keeps dropping in that lineup, he's going to be hitting 10th soon. Matt Holliday looks at strike 1. 322 and 3 homers, just outside the top 10 in the league in OPS. And as Bob mentioned, last night tied Albert Pujols' Cardinals record by reaching base safely in 42 straight games to open up the year. And that's a big reason why his on-base percentage this year is up over .430, which in his 12th big league season would be a career high. Josh ahead 0-2. Knocks it the other way. Trumbo near the corner. And he runs it down, out number 2. Well, no Matt Adams, as we mentioned. In fact, it might be that way for the rest of the year, apparently. Still no definitive word on that, but it does not look good for the Cardinals' first baseman. So Johnny Peralta moves up into the cleanup spot, and 308 for the year and 7 home runs. And having a good series, 4 for 8. A double, a homer. He's knocked in 3. This was Big City yesterday, rounding first.
It seemed innocent enough at the time, just kind of an awkward step on first base with the left foot, but it's the right leg that bothers him.
Very deep right center. Trumbo in front of the Cardinal bullpen. And Comenter, after giving up the leadoff homer, gets 3 fly ball outs, and through 1 he trails it 1-0. Top 2 at Busch. Diamondbacks trail at 1-0. Kolten Wong a leadoff homer. And here's Tuffy Gozowish to open up the second against Lance Lynn. I mean, Lance Lynn, we talked about that a moment ago, Bob. The Diamondbacks in this series just have not hit with runners in scoring position. There's a little ground ball to Wong at second, and he throws out Tuffy. Lance Lynn had a 14-pitch first inning and left the bases loaded.
How about that?
That's hard to do.
A lot of first pitch hacking, which we've seen from the Diamondbacks all season. It doesn't seem to be an issue when that first pitch produces a base hit, but when you make quick outs, it really makes things easy for that opposing pitcher.
Yeah, Cliff Pennington grounded out on the first pitch with the bases loaded and 2 outs to win the top half of the first. And here's Nick Ahmed now at 218. 2 homers and 9 RBIs. Another big night at the plate last night. His first career multi-extra base hit game, a home run and a double. And he lifts this in the air out to Holiday, and that's another quick out. And we'll see if Josh Colmenter can at least look at a couple of pitches up there against big Lance Lynn. 2 outs on 3 pitches so far in the second. Josh has been a hitter this year. He's at 250. We talked about all those fastballs you see with this guy. 4-seamer, 2-seamer, cut fastball, cuts it, sinks it. And those are 2 pitches that move in opposite directions. And many pitchers change speeds with different pitches. Lynn, with all those fastballs, changes location and direction. Up with that 4-seamer. 2-seam down, the cutter across. And Mike Matheny has said that Lynn's 4-seam fastball is hard to pick up once the hitter has seen a couple elevated up in the zone, and then he's got that good movement on the sinker down at the knees. So he will really move it around on you.
A good pitcher can make a fastball look like multiple pitches. I remember facing Don Sutton when he was in his prime pitching for the Brewers.
300-game winner.
In a spring training game, and I struck out 3 times on 9 pitches, and I swear they were 9 different pitches. But in talking to Don after the fact, he said, oh, there was a curveball in there. There was a slider in there.
That one's in there. He rings up Colmenter. First strikeout for Lance Lynn. He's got a 1-0 lead. The whole thing. Here we are in St. Louis. Steve Berthune, Bob Brentley, and Todd Walsh with you. Bottom second at Busch Stadium, and the Diamondbacks trail the Cardinals 1-0. Colton Wong, a leadoff homer for the Redbirds, his 6th home run this season. And speaking of power, here's Randal Grichuk, the center fielder. Will now have to pick up some of the power slack with Matt Adams out. The Cardinals actually, during that last break, announced in the press box that they expect Matt Adams will be out at least 3 to 4 months.
Wow.
With that quad tear. It's a pretty bad tear. And so they've got Grichuk, who they like a lot. A little roller to shortstop. Ahmed throws him out. 4 straight retired by Colmenter after the leadoff homer.
Well, Grichuk definitely has pop in his bat. Guy capable of hitting it out of the ballpark or into the gaps. 9 of his 13 hits this season have gone for extra bases.
Round of applause for Yadier Molina. 286, just 8 extra base hits all season, all of them doubles. That's in there for a strike, 0-1. Molina 1 for 8 in the series, a single and an RBI last night. Has not hit for extra bases like he so often does. The .338 slugging percentage would be a career low. Josh Colmenter, according to Chip Hale, still very much the tone setter in this Diamondback rotation. And Chip said last week he's our #1 guy, and when he's pitched well, it filters down to the rest of the staff. So his value to the starting rotation, Chip says, really important. He looked at times brilliant in April. He has at times scuffled badly here in May and trying to regain his footing out there. 2-2 is down the left field line, and that's in the corner. It one-hops the wall. And Yadier Molina has his 9th double.
Molina's a guy that seems to pick it up as the season goes on and the temperatures heat up here in St. Louis, which is exactly the opposite of what you would expect for a guy that catches almost every day. You would think he would wear down over the course of the season, but it seems like his bat heats up when the weather does.
Mark Reynolds, the former D-back, and off to a good start here in St. Louis, finding a role that figures to expand with Matt Adams out now 3 to 4 months. They have developed a right-left first base platoon. Reynolds is the right-hand hitting portion of that duo. He's a .250 with 3 homers, but figures to play a whole lot more now with Adams out. One. Cardinals, in fact, this winter were not totally sold on Matt Adams. They were looking for a right-hand power-hitting first baseman they could platoon with him. And Reynolds fit the bill. It's worked out pretty well so far. He's also been a good pinch-hitting option off the bench for Mike Matheny. And he's ahead of the count, 2 balls and 1 strike. His 5th different team in 4 years, Mark Reynolds. Broke into the big leagues as a 23-year-old with the Diamondbacks back in '07. In there, and it's 2-2. Parts of 9 years with the D-backs. D-backs, Orioles, Yankees, Milwaukee. Into center. They will wave Molina. Pollock has it. There is no throw, and it's 2-0 Cardinals.
It's not like Mark Reynolds to shorten up and just try to make contact and put the ball in play, but that's exactly what he does right here. Finds the hole back up the middle of the field. Diamondback fans well aware Mark Reynolds is normally an all or nothing at all kind of a hitter at the plate, but that time shortened it up and got himself an RBI base hit.
Jason Hayward down to 8th in the St. Louis lineup. The numbers right there explain why. 233. Only 13 RBIs in 43 games. One for 8 in the series so far. Hayward had an RBI single Monday night.
Jason Hayward, what a turnaround from last season. In 149 ball games last year, he only grounded into 2 double plays, which tells you hits a lot of balls in the air, a lot of line drives. This year in 43 games, he's grounded into 8 double plays and narrowly missed another one last night, so hitting more ground balls.
Yeah, the fans are watching Hayward struggle. They're watching Grichuk hit homers, doubles, triples, and they're wondering, hey, why isn't the other guy playing? And they're without John Jay, their center fielder, after wrist surgery. He's close to coming back, and when he does, it's going to get interesting in right field for Mike Matheny. Grichuk can play some center. That's what he's doing tonight. And he's helped fill in for Jay along with Peter Borges. But when Jay comes back, you're going to have too many guys for too few spots in that outfield.
Good off-speed delivery that time by Josh. Downward plane. Looked like a fastball to Hayward. Swings right through it. Kind of interesting. Tuffy Gosowich is going through a series of signs with the runner at first. You generally don't do that until the runner advances to second base.
Reaches out and lifts that in the air to very shallow left. Ahmed drifting out there has it. And that's the second out.
Not sure the reason for Tuffy going through a series of signs with nobody at second base. Sometimes a team takes too good of swings at pitches that you feel they should have been fooled on.
Eye in the sky scenario?
Yeah, might be getting signs from somewhere in the ballpark.
Somebody out at Ballpark Village. Kind of a Polo Grounds binoculars deal. It might be her.
I think it's her.
Yep.
When she shakes her head no, it's off speed. When she shakes her head yes, it's a fastball. Keep an eye on that lady.
Ma'am, can you come with me, please? Lance Lynn.
Oh, beyond. That's,
sure. That's trying to throw us off the scent right there. I don't really care about the game.
Yeah, I'm not really paying attention. So she has her accomplice sitting next to her reading the signs. Conspiracy theories everywhere.
Well, I've known managers and have talked to some who used to have trainers in the dugout make the signals. You know, the manager would go through the whole routine. And, you know, if the trainer crossed his legs sitting on the bench there, it was one thing. If he didn't, it was another thing. There's Ken Crenshaw, clearly signaling pitches.
I know managers that have sent one of their auxiliary coaches out into the center field bleachers during the game to keep an eye on the fans and make sure there was nothing out of the ordinary going on.
Just patrolling the seats out there?
Yeah, looking for anything that is out of the ordinary.
Well, there's a guy with a Navy signal flag out there. Is that a little off? We know what you're really doing. 1-2.
Well, even though he's down 2-0 in this ball game and has surrendered 3 base hits in the first couple of innings, Josh's stuff looks better tonight than last time out. He just couldn't get any movement on that cutter against the Cubs last time.
That's what you like, the movement on the cutter?
You have to have some movement on the cutter. If you're Josh Coleman, the velocity just isn't there enough to really get into a hitter's head. But if you've got that little bit of late movement, it gives him something else to think about.
1-2 is in there, and he rings up Lynn for his first strikeout. Don't forget, get on the Twitter. Hashtag Vote Goldie. America's first baseman due up in the third. They are looking through the windows down at us here as Ender Inciarte leads off the third against Lance Lynn.
Would we accept wicket instead of arch?
You're still on the croquet thing. It does look like a giant croquet wicket. There's no doubt about that. Ender flying out his first time. Carpenter comes in a step or two on the grass at third. And there's strike one. Did you play a lot of croquet in Coshocton growing up?
Yeah, we did. Every time the family would get together on Sunday afternoons in the summer, we'd set up the field out in the backyard there, or whatever you call it, cricket. Or not cricket, but croquet field. Yeah, I was really good at knocking them out of the yard. Knock them over in the neighbor's yard.
Is that
work
the
their
one
way back.
Where you get to hold your foot down on one ball and whack it? Wow.
Yeah, drive them into the neighbor's yard.
Vicious croquet play.
We only played games where you could knock things into the neighbor's yard. That's why we were always in trouble.
Little fly the other way out to left for Holiday. Well, Lance Lynn, I mean, the Diamondbacks have just got to see more pitches. Lynn, who somehow left the bases loaded in the first, despite throwing only 14 pitches in that inning, coming off an 8-pitch second. And he's retired Inciarte now to open up the third. I mean, that's just kind of helping him out.
Oh, helping him out big time. I mean, it's well documented. Every team, if there's a weakness in your pitching staff, it's long middle relief. And in order to get into that long and middle relief, you've got to run up a pitch count on the starting pitcher if at all possible. And some of these really quick at bats are not doing anything to help that.
AJ singled his last time up. Well, Lynn lost his previous start. That was Friday at Kansas City in that big series here with the Royals. 5 runs, 10 hits, 6 innings, a walk and 4 strikeouts. Didn't get any run support. The Cardinals lost 5-0. And Lynn was dealing with back cramps in that last start. Had a visit to the mound from the trainers. Mike Matheny said something just didn't look right out there. And Lynn said the back cramps started during his pregame warm-up of the bullpen. Got treatment after the game and did not believe it would be a factor for him in this start tonight.
A big break for him that the weather is so mild here in St. Louis. This time of year it can be approaching triple digits with humidity nearly the same, but it's been a very comfortable 3-game series here in St. Louis.
Yeah, we really lucked out weather-wise. He's just one of those guys. Every team's got one.
Yep.
The Diamondbacks, it's Chase Anderson. And with the Cardinals, it's Lance Lynn, which would explain why he's only 3-4 this year. 2-2 pitch. And Lynn is built like a rotation workhorse. I mean, he's a huge guy, 6'5", 240. Coming off back-to-back seasons of at least 30 starts and 200 innings. And this year, he's gone at least 6 full innings in 7 of his 9 starts, including each of his previous 5 starts here in May.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Lynn has been, and many of his teammates have said the same thing, he's one of those guys that seems to get stronger as he gets deeper into the ball game. And he said, yeah, that's usually how I roll. Well, one out walk to Pollock, who's been aboard twice tonight. And here's hashtag vote Goldie. Goldie reached out a fielder's choice his first time up. Second walk issued by Lance Lynn.
Well, Lynn's numbers would say that he's one of those guys that you're much better served trying to get to him early in the ball game, first couple or 3 innings before he has a chance to settle in. And pitch count is never really much of an issue for Lance Lynn. He regularly goes over the century mark.
Yeah, he is a horse out there with all those fastballs. He does get a lot of swings and misses with that big 4-seamer that runs a bit. It's got good late life, as they say, some hop to it, some jump. And he will elevate it when he needs to. A beautiful night here downtown St. Louis. So there is with Lance Lynn a kind of a unique old school country hardball kind of a deal. Only fights that one off, but it's a little flare to wall, 2 down. Yeah, when he starts firing that 4-seamer in there, he'll get a whiff rate with that pitch alone of about 30%. So he can rack up the strikeouts. Yasmani Tomas. Guess what? He got a hit his first time up.
What a shot.
Yeah. So the hit streak is now at 11 games. But he doesn't just get 1, he gets 2. A 10-game streak coming in, 8 of those multi-hit games. And so far tonight, 1 for 1. Ball 1. Tomas leads all major league rookies in hitting at .349. There goes AJ, got that big running lead. Tomas will back away, and Pollock has his 11th stolen base. A tremendous jump. We've seen Diamondback base runners do that time and time again lately. He was halfway to the bag before Lynn even started toward home plate.
We'll have to ask about it, but I think Dave McKay probably has a lot to do with this. I mean, that guy's been standing over in that first base coach's box forever watching deliveries of pitchers, and he's very good about picking up trigger points when a pitcher's going home, when he's coming over to first, when he's likely to just stand there and hold the ball. Because we've seen the Diamondbacks do that on numerous occasions. Just take off while the pitcher's standing on the mound.
They make it look so easy. And Dave will tell you when he's down there at first, he always stands, no matter where they are, in the exact same spot. So he can always get that same look, that same angle at every pitcher and pick up each guy's unique move. So he's always got the exact same perspective. 3-1 to Tomas. Pollock now at second and 2 outs. Trumbo on deck.
First stolen base of the series for the Diamondbacks, have been very aggressive over their 6-1 stretch last week. They stole 13 bags, but it is Yadier Molina behind the plate, so it takes till game 3 to get your first one in this series.
Big cut at that one. It's full, 3-2.
That appeared to be that four-seamer you were talking about that gets the swings and misses after throwing fastballs in the low 90s with a little bit of movement this way or that way. When he rears back and throws that four-seamer, it's got a little extra hop on it.
And he'll throw it down at the knees like he just did there, and then when he elevates it, it can really be a problem. Three balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Here it is. Tomas stays alive.
Looked like a direct hit on Eric Cooper back there behind home plate, but when Yachty asked him if he needed a moment, he said no, let's play. Yeah, got him right on the bottom of the mast.
Coming in at 90 plus.
Knocked him back a step or two, but he's right back in there ready to go.
One more time on 3-2. Let's take a look at our T-Mobile game-changing player Yasmani Tomas during what is now an 11-game hitting streak.
Multiple hits.
Hitting nearly 450 during this streak.
Now, those hitting streaks, we've talked about this before, they can be a little deceiving if you're going 1 for 4, 1 for 5, 1 for 5, 1 for 4.
Yeah, the average can almost go down.
Yeah, absolutely. But when you're putting 2 or 3 on the board every night in the midst of a hitting streak, that changes everything.
Well, there's a big punch out for Lance Lynn, his second of the ball game. Bottom third coming up here underneath the arch, and the Diamondbacks trail the Cardinals 2-0.
And keep trying to get better in that same mindset we talked about before. It's not about me. It's about how do I not just make that pitcher better that day, but how can I make 9 guys on that field come together and everybody pull in the same direction. And it's a great challenge that I'd love to wake up for every day.
Todd Walsh back here in St. Louis. St. Louis Cardinals manager Mike Matheny. I just love that comment. We had an extended conversation, Steve and Bob, about the art of catching in baseball, and also I guess it's just a fact. We'll just say it. The ex-catchers just make the best managers. And here's a guy that, as I'm sure you guys have chronicled, had no managerial experience, and look what he has done here in St. Louis. And a little bit later on, I'll flash over to the Diamondbacks dugout and get Chip Hale's take on that, a guy who has so much managerial experience, but all, of course, at the minor league level. Drinking out of a fire hose, Steve.
It's a lot to take on, Todd, that's for sure. It's a big job, and Matheny, he's definitely BB down there. Look at him in that dugout right behind Colton Wong. He's got a presence. Yeah. I mean, he's a big guy, former catcher, very serious guy. He has an aura about him, that's for sure. And the results, I mean, they're beyond debate.
And think about the managers that he played for over the course of his career. One of them now with the Diamondbacks, Tony La Russa. And if you're paying attention, you can learn an awful lot about the game watching one of the best ever.
This is right on a tee for you. But do catchers, former catchers, make the best managers, Bob Brenly?
I think so. I mean, I'm a little partial, but the numbers don't lie. These guys, because of the demands of that position, everything you have to do as a catcher lends itself well to moving into that hot seat as a manager. How to work a pitching staff, how to align your defense, how to work the umpires, how to get the best out of a pitcher every day depending on his personality. Some guys, you've heard the cliche, you have to kick him in the rear. Other guys, you pat him on the back. And as a catcher, you have to know which guys you can motivate which way.
But Pennington calls off Ahmed, and that's the first out here in the bottom of the third.
Of course, it helps if you're a really good defensive catcher. The Cardinals have a stranglehold on that National League Gold Glove since 2011 times the Cardinals have won. Brad Ausmus snuck in there 3 times and stole the Gold Glove, and Russell Martin once with the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yachty has won the last 7 catching Gold Gloves here in the National League.
And Yachty will be a manager in the big leagues if he wants to.
Talk about a presence, Yachty or Molina. Here's Matt Carpenter. It's interesting because so many catchers, it seems, tend to gravitate toward being managers or coaches. And yet there are almost no former pitchers who are managers. Bud Black is the obvious exception, but it's funny how few pitchers ever gravitate toward that.
I get in trouble with all my pitcher friends, so I better not say.
I was going to say, well, they're just not very smart.
They're all very selfish, diva. You know, it's all about them. One day a week, it's my day to pitch. Don't look at me. Don't talk to me. Turn the music down. You know, and then the other 4 days, they're goofing around and monkeying around. There's a guy that didn't goof around on the day he pitched.
No. The great Bob Gibson. 1-2 on Carpenter. He flied out his first time. He was hitless in last night's ball game. Did walk and score a run. A couple of singles Monday night. Toward Trumbo and right. Takes an interesting route there and manages to hang on for the outs. 2 down. Carpenter thinks that dropped in. Yeah, he caught it. Well, this is what they call a banana route, I guess, right?
Yeah, he went back a few steps and then turns. It comes back in 3 or 4 steps, but just does snare it before it hits the grass out there in the right field corner.
Two down now for Matt Holliday. Holliday flied out his first time. I would think the other type of guy who would make a good manager besides the catcher is the grinder type, the guy that played a lot of different positions. It was a role player, you know, played infield, outfield, pinch hit, started occasionally like Chip Hale did.
Or the manager where we're going next, Craig Counsell. You know, guys that have seen the game from a bunch of different perspectives. Been a starting player at one time, been a platoon player at another time, been a bench player, been a non-player. You have to see the game from a bunch of different angles because you're going to deal with those guys on your 25-man roster every day.
And Chip was talking a little bit about that before the game today in the dugout, and he said something that was interesting in playing for Tom Kelly. He said Tom Kelly wasn't afraid to hurt your feelings because Chip was the guy who was often told you're not playing today. And so you learn how to deal with that as a player, and you take that experience with you now as a manager, because you've got to manage all these different personalities, and sometimes you have to tell guys things that you know they're not going to like. And he was on the other end of that for years.
Everybody in this game, every manager, every player in this game, you're a byproduct of all your influences, good and bad. I'm sure Chip had some bad managers that he thought someday when I get a chance to be a head coach or a manager, I'm not going to do that. And then other guys that set great examples and did things that I'm sure Chip follows to this day.
Josh Colmenter throws one right by Matt Holliday. Second strikeout for Josh. We go to the fourth. Diamondbacks trail the Cardinals 2-0.
Day or two before they're going to play. And one thing I haven't had a chance this year because our lamps have been almost right before we decided right before we go out for our work. So I want to give him a better chance to be prepared, and I told him I'm going to do a better job of calling him or texting him the night before, hey, you're in the lineup. So different things like that, you have to have that with every player's different.
Steve, Bob, just a quick follow-up in the punctuation mark to the story you're talking about with Chip Hale. First pitch called strike there to Mark Trumbo here to start the inning off. I happened to be in the Diamondbacks clubhouse when Aaron Hill walked by Chip's office, and Chip called out to Aaron, hey, and I heard Aaron just say, uh-oh, as every player would do. And there you go, Steve.
Mark Trumbo, a high fly ball to deep center field, and that one is gone. A home run. Mark Trumbo, a solo shot, his 8th of the year, and the Diamondbacks are on the board. It's 2-1. And that is Mark Trumbo's 6th home run here in May. The average is down a bit, but he continues to slug the long ball.
Mark hit a 2-run homer in the 8th inning of game 1 of this series in nearly the same location, although this one went about 50 feet further up that hill in center field.
Yeah, the other one was a line drive, the one that tied it 2-2 in the 8th inning on Monday. That was just a typical Trumbo laser shot. That was more like the St. Louis Arch, way up there on that grass hitter's background in dead center. So second home run of this series for Trumbo, his 8th of the year, 2-1 ball game, and here's Cliff Pennington. Cliff getting the start tonight at second base. As Todd mentioned a moment ago, Todd, let's finish up there. We've got Cliff in there at second and Aaron Hill on the bench.
Yeah, it was interesting for that moment, and pardon me for intruding on that home run, but just to hear Chip call out to the veteran. This is the second time now in 2 days where Chip has admitted to us publicly, hey, you know, I'm still a work in progress. He talked about the Enrique Borgo situation. He sort of fell on the sword and said, you know what, I'm sort of to blame for maybe the fatigue in his shoulder. I went to him too often. I've got to think about that. Today he said, look, I got to communicate to a guy like Aaron Hill more and in advance. So you look at Matheny over there drinking water out of a fire hose, 3 years into it now, but Chip on the other side of it still obviously figuring it out.
Yeah, and he said the same thing about Jake Lamb, which I thought was interesting. He was doing so well, Jake, when he started out this year. A little lazy fly ball to left center. That, you know, Chip said, I probably played him too much, and that's maybe why his foot started to hurt. You know, he was one of our best hitters, kind of one of the go-to guys here. I might have played him too much early.
Yep.
Is it, Bob, when you're dealing with an Aaron Hill who's been around a long time and a Jake Lamb who's a rookie, what's the difference in handling not those two people specifically, but the veteran and the rookie, the youngster?
I think most people in the game are in agreement that veterans, because of their seniority in the game, playing time that they've accrued over the course of their career, they deserve a little more respect and maybe a little softer touch than a younger player who has his whole career ahead of him and has a lot of things to learn about the game. Yeah, it's easy. I think back to Randy and Kurt, and those guys were two very special exceptions to what most teams had for rules with pitchers, but they'd earned that right based on their performance and what they'd done over the course of their career.
Very few duos like that in baseball history. In fact, certainly in the last several decades. That was a unique situation.
You know, of course, then to take it a step farther, if you've got guys like Randy and Kurt that take advantage of that situation, that changes everything.
Tough he goes, a wish. Right field for Hayward.
You know, guys that I don't really feel like getting my running in today, and I don't really care about the advance report. I'm just going to take a nap in the training room. I'll see you at game time. Well, that's not going to work.
You'd almost probably enjoy, lighting those guys up a little bit. Nick Ahmed flying out his first time.
But once again, what really helps any manager, whether you're a first-year manager or you've been in the big leagues for 20 years, if your star players set a good example, the rest of the team falls right in line. And that's where the Diamondbacks are very fortunate to have Paul Goldschmidt as their leader. If everybody does what Goldie does, you have no problems as a manager.
Hashtag vote Goldie. Nick trying to bunt for a base hit up the third base line, but it rolls foul in front of Carpenter. And he's down 0-2. You know, we always think of Goldie as a sort of stoic. He's not an outgoing guy. Very hard worker. Extremely hard worker. Very laid back. Takes things in stride. But, you know, he's, I think, kind of sneaky vocal. Every time you look at him, it seems he's having a conversation with somebody.
And because of his personality and the fact that he isn't a big talker in the clubhouse or in the dugout, when he does speak, it carries a lot of weight. Because if he's got something on his mind that he feels he needs to talk about, you better listen.
Called strike 3. Third strikeout for Lance Lynn, but the Diamondbacks are on the board. 425 feet. Mark Trumbo, his 8th of the year, and it's 2-1 in St. Louis. TV right across the street and Cardinal Nation Ballpark Village as Johnny Peralta leads off the 4th. There's the rooftop seating. They got bars over there, clubs, restaurants, pubs. They really did a wonderful job with that. Just behind left center field.
That's actually the site where the old Busch Stadium was. Knocked it down. It was just a dirt lot for a long time. The project just didn't quite get started the way they had hoped, but now that it's completed, it's a real gem because the Cardinals are very much a regional draw. They bring fans in from all over the place and kind of gives them a central meeting place before and after ball games.
Yeah, they have sold out every single home game this year, more than 40,000 every night in here, and they come from all over the Midwest. It used to be the governor, Greg Schulte, when he was just a pup, a young Cub reporter. He's told stories often about going to games at Sportsman's Park in St. Louis to see Stan the Man play. And there's that great Stan Musial statue just outside the ballpark here. 2-2 on Peralta. He flied out his first time. Here's Stan the Man. The great Jack Buck, longtime voice of the Cardinals. And I know you had one of my favorite stories of all time, you and Jack Buck. Well, it was the World Series, was it?
I think it was one of the playoff games that Jack was doing, and I'd known Jack for years and years, and he would come down to do pregame shows when I was a player, and I'd just ask him, how much time do you need?
So he's doing just like a little radio hit.
Yeah, I need 2:45. And he would come down to my office when I was a manager, and I'd say the same thing. How much time do you need? Well, 3 minutes and 15 seconds. All right, Bob Brenly at 3, 2, 1. Bob, your rotation. And then he'd point the mic at me, and I would talk for 15 or 20 seconds. You're a bullpen? What about your lineup? Back with more after this. And that, all I needed to know was how much time do you need, Jack? And he would just toss it out there.
Those are probing questions.
Oh, he was the best.
Go crazy. St. Louis, go crazy. Randall Grichuk. Peralta has a single to lead off the Cardinal fourth. Grichuk rounded out his first turn. And this is a guy that just looks better and better every time you see him. 286 now, 2 homers, including his home run he hit last night.
Kind of makes me nostalgic seeing his setup in the batter's box as he's waiting for Josh to deliver that pitch. It's what they call a flat bat. You'll watch him as he gets that bat back there behind the back shoulder. The barrel of the bat's kind of laying down toward the backstop. Now he'll get it back up into a hitting position when Josh lets the ball go, but you see a lot of guys hit with a flat bat like that. My first hitting coach in the big leagues, Hank Sauer, was a guy that was a firm believer in that flat bat. He said that's the plane you want to swing on, so why not start with your bat right on that plane?
One 1 pitch. A lot of Cardinal fans want to see this young man in the lineup every day. Big potential here, certainly big power potential. He has only started 10 games all season, but in his 10 games as a starter this year, Grichuk has hit 300, 4 doubles, 2 triples, and 2 homers. So he's at times been electrified. He missed a month with a back injury earlier this year.
Yeah, and this stance that he's using right now is evolved from what we saw last September and then in the postseason in 2014. And tonight you can see the difference in the setup there. Kind of unusual for a guy that's had the kind of success that Grichuk has had throughout his minor league career to make major adjustments like that, but you certainly can't argue with the results.
John Mabry, the hitting coach.
And a fine fisherman in his own right.
He gave you the secret spot.
Yes, he did.
Well, you must have been gassed after the ball game last night, getting up at 4:45 to leave the hotel to go fishing.
Fell asleep in my clothes last night.
2-2 pitch. Hard to third. It's by Tomas and down the left field line. Peralta takes the turn. It caroms off the stands there. Inciarte picks it up, and Randall Grichuk is at it again. He's got a double.
The pitch was down. Tuffy was ready to block it in case it went in the dirt. Somehow Grichuk got the bat on it, hooked it down that left field line. That's one of the oddities here at Busch. You can see the areas down the left and right field line where the stands kind of jut out toward the foul line. And that time it ricocheted back almost toward the shortstop position. A long run for Ender Inciarte to get to that ball.
Yeah, there is almost no foul ground at all in that corner. So Josh Colementer, who had retired 5 straight coming into this inning, has given up a Peralta single, a Grichuk double, 2 on, nobody outs for Molina.
And just one more thing about that double by Randal Grichuk. Good hitters punish mistake pitches. If you hang a breaking ball or throw a nothing fastball in the middle of the plate, they're going to hit that ball really hard. But the great hitters hit pitchers' pitches and still get base hits. That was a nice pitch by Josh Comenter down in the zone, almost in the dirt, and Grichuk still got enough bat on it to double down into the left field corner.
And get another extra base hit, as you just saw. Molina had a double and scored a run his last time up.
Most hitters are going to hit the mistakes in the middle of the plate, but very few guys get base hits on pitches like this. But he kept his head right down the barrel of the bat, real good balance with his lower body, and rewarded with a double.
I mean, the Cardinals have one of the best beat writers in the business, Derek Gould, and the growing consensus in St. Louis, he kind of summed it up when he said this week, the Cardinals, especially now with Adams out, are going to need some power. And if Grichuk can provide it, you can't just waste it. You can't ignore the electricity that his potential brings to this lineup. And we have really seen him look very impressive here in the series so far. He's at second. Peralta's at third. Nobody out. 2 balls and a strike to Yadier Molina. 3-1.
Well, Grichuk was part of the reason why I said when we were talking about potential Rookie of the Year candidates, and I mentioned there's still a lot of baseball left to play, and there's a lot of other players, Randal Grichuk included, that by the time the season's over will probably be included in that conversation.
Manny Tomas in there as well. 3-1 to Molina. That's in the seats. It's a full count, 3-2. Mark Reynolds on deck. I still say you should get a neck tattoo.
I'll think about it. On the off day, I'll think about it.
Yeah, we'll put a smallmouth bass on there for you or something. Well, that or a slice of pizza.
One on either side.
The truck has all kinds of suggestions.
Of course they do.
Full count. Back to the mound. Comenter knocks it down and keeps the runners where they are. He just stuck that glove out there like a hockey goalie and was able to keep it in front of him. No chance for the runners to advance, and that's the first out.
Yeah, might have had a chance to get Grichuk out there at second base. He really took off for third when that ball was put into play. Josh knocks it down. His only concern is making sure that Johnny Peralta didn't try to score from third base. You could clearly see in the back of the picture there. They had a play on Grichuk, but they get an out nonetheless.
And so they will put the overshift on for Reynolds. Goldie all by himself halfway between the bag at first and second. And 3 infielders on the left-hand side. Reynolds an RBI single his first time. There's ball 1.
I am perpetually amazed how far Goldie can play off the bag at first and still get over there and cover on a ground ball hit to the left side. I'd be petrified.
That's where his quickness comes in. He's not fast per se, but he's got really quick first few steps. You see that all the time. He can get up to full speed very quickly for a big guy. And he right now is all by himself, a one-man Diamondback infield on that right-hand side. Two 2-0 to Reynolds. 3-0 now. You got Hayward on deck. Pitcher spot behind him. Watch the right leg. This was the previous pitch. Yeah, right there. To the power hitting Reynolds. First base is open with slumping Hayward behind him. Don't necessarily, with 1 out, have to throw him a strike here.
And don't think that little grab of the right hamstring went unnoticed. I mean, when you watch a guy from start to start to start over the course of the season, sometimes over the course of years, anything out of the ordinary gets your attention. I'm sure Mike Harkey and Glenn Sherlock, Chip Hale, all the coaches sitting over there in that third base dugout noticed it just like we did.
3-0. Ball 4. Cardinals have the bases loaded with 1 out. First walk issued by Josh. Here comes Mike Harkey. Well, with Comenter, everything this month, it seems, has been out of the ordinary. He just has not been the same guy he was in April. The velocity has been down this year. The command certainly has not been as sharp, and that's made him much less efficient out there, not going deep into games. And he's getting hit a lot. 1-2 in 4 starts this month. The ERA in May is almost 9.5. And opponents in May hitting .366 against Comenter over those 4 starts. So they're loaded with 1 out for Hayward.
You see through his first 5 starts this year, Josh gave up only 1 home run. In his last 5 starts, 8 homers. I think a lot of that gets back to what he talked about in the open of the show, his fastball command. In the case of his last start against the Cubs, didn't have any movement on his cutter, couldn't incorporate his secondary pitches. And when you're handcuffed into throwing nothing but fastballs in the mid-80s, you're going to give up some home runs.
In there for a strike. Hayward popped up his first time. Pops up again here. Ahmed behind Tomas, and a very big out there for Comenter. 2 down now.
While we have a moment, let's take a look at our Valley Honda keys to the game tonight. Just like with real estate, everything about Josh Comenter depends on location, location, location. And we gave you the numbers earlier. Coming through in the clutch, the Diamondbacks have had opportunities in these first 2 games against the Cardinals to blow games wide open, just haven't been able to come up with that big base hit.
Peralta is at third, Grichuk at second, Reynolds at first. 2 down, and here's the pitcher, Lance Lynn. Struck out looking at his first at bat tonight, 0 for 1. And Josh will tell you fastball command is the beginning and ending of everything he does well. If it's up in the zone, if it's flat, he's going to get hit. Cardinals second and third with no outs. Bases loaded with 1 out in this inning. And Comenter trying to pull a magic act here with 2 down, the pitcher up there. About to throw pitch number 27 here in the 4th. We talked about pitch efficiency. It's not been there. Swing and a miss, 1-1. Josh has said part of the problem is him just really trying to force a lot of stuff, trying to find it, as opposed to just rearing back, throwing, and let everything that's supposed to happen. Let that stuff that he's got take over. Don't try and force the issue as much. He's a strike away from escaping this jam. If the pitch count continues to rise and you got to look toward the bullpen, the one guy that you think could give you some innings back there is Vidal Nuno, but he's pitched a lot lately, both for AAA Reno and here with the Diamondbacks. And so Chip told me before the ball game today that Nuno is not an option tonight. He is down. And so you're going to have to look somewhere else for some innings. That one's in the dirt, and Lynn is even 2-2. No Nuno. They'd like to stay away from Ramirez if they can. Other than that, everyone is available. Bases loaded, 2 outs, 2 balls, 2 strikes. It's full. He's hit 87. Haven't seen Josh that high in, I don't know, 4 or 5 starts at least. So that's a good sign. Needs to make a big pitch right here. Popped him up. Shallow center. A.J. Pollock is there, and Josh Colmenter wiggles off a big hook. He leaves him loaded in the 4th. It's still 2-1. He really reached down into that tank and found some velocity that's normally not there. And he got out of a bases-loaded jam. And he leads off the 5th against Lance Lynn. There's strike 1. Josh, we've seen him frequently 83-ish this year. The velocity's been down from its usual 85, 86, but in that bottom of the 4th inning, up to 87 and 88 when he really had to have it. And that's the guy we're used to seeing. So that's a good sign. Haven't seen that velocity in several starts from Josh. Speaking of velocity, he's up there against Lynn and all those fastballs. Guy throws hard, big dude out there. 6'5", 240. Right by him. 4th strikeout for Lynn, 1 down. Well, Lance Lynn might be one of the more underrated pitchers in baseball in the last few years. He's a former 1st-round pick out of Ole Miss. Or as they say in Starkville, that school up north. And has been a consistent double-digit winner in St. Louis, now in his 5th season in the big leagues. 118 games, was an all-star 3 years ago, 15 and 10 in each of the last 2 seasons, and over 200 innings in back-to-back years now. There's strike 1 to Ender Inciarte.
If you grow up in Ohio, that school up north is the University of Michigan, where Mike Matheny went to school.
Yeah, that gets pretty ugly there.
It probably gets pretty ugly in the Matheny family. He's got a daughter that played ice hockey for Ohio State, or excuse me, the Ohio State University. That has to really eat up.
Well, if you're going to have a wayward teenage daughter, having her be a hockey player in Michigan is probably good. There are a lot of other options that are less enticing for any dad. 1-2 now. Hear that sound of A.J. Pollock just grazing his spikes along the dirt in the on-deck circle. Got a microphone right next to the on-deck circle down there. Bounce to second, Colton Wong. 2 down. A.J. has singled, walked, and stolen a base. And he is really rolling right now.
Hey fans, when the D-backs win, you win at Papa John's. The day after every Diamondbacks win, you get 50% off your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code DBACKS50 at papajohns.com.
How about A.J. last 9 games, counting tonight? 15 hits and 30 at bats, and he bunts for a base hit here. He's going to beat that out. Pollock's on board again. Wanted to see Diamondback hitters do a lot more of that. Inciarte, Pollock, Ahmed, and so far so good. That's how to do it.
Yeah, bunted it right out near the end of the bat, which really deadened that ball. It rolled a couple of feet out in front of home plate and just died in the infield grass, forcing Lynn to come a long way to make the play. And with A.J.'s speed, you might as well just stick it in your pocket.
And most importantly, it gives the Diamondbacks a 2-out base runner for hashtag Vote Goldie. He has reached on a fielder's choice and popped up. He one of the reasons the Diamondbacks, not that it's his fault certainly, but lost the first 2 games here. All those guys stranded, not hitting with runners in scoring position. Goldie's had a fairly quiet series after that enormous weekend against the Cubs at Chase Field. And Goldie last night, 2 strikeouts, 2 walks, did not score a run. Monday was on base 3 times, couple of singles, a walk, but still looking for that big hit that does some damage. And we'll see if AJ may have provided him that opportunity here.
Strike at the bottom of the zone right here. Goldie has taken a lot of hittable fastballs, but a lot of them were just like that, down at the bottom of the zone, maybe out on the knees. He hasn't really had a lot of elevated fastballs in the middle of the plate where he could really do some damage. Down, down, down again.
Well, we saw him crush everything on the inner half the beginning of last year, and then for the whole rest of the season before he got hurt, 3 months, everything was down and away, down and away, down and away. Just like that. 2-1.
And the patience that it takes to lay off of those pitches, especially when you know your team needs you to provide some offensive thump. And you know Goldie would love to do that, but you got to stick with the program, trust the program. That's not a ball I can do much with, so I'm going to take it until I get to 2 strikes.
Yeah, Lynn is getting a little wild here. This is how big innings start. This is how big hits are set up. You got a couple of harmless outs, a strikeout, an easy grounder. He's rolling along, 2 outs. Pollock bunts for a base hit. Suddenly he's behind on Goldie, 3-1. He's got the red-hot Tomas behind him. A nice 2-out chance here for the Diamondbacks, down 2-1 in the 5th. And sure enough, now it turns into 2 base runners for Tomas. 3rd walk tonight issued by Lance Lynn. Yasmani, a single to extend his hitting streak to 11 games. He struck out his last time up. Up there with 2 on and 2 out. Pollock at second, Goldie at first. That was Goldie's 4th walk in this series. Yadier Molina going to go out there and have a chat with Lance Lynn. Colton Wong will come in as well.
And I mentioned it before. Usually when you see this, it's a changing of the signs. A.J. Pollock has been out there throughout Goldie's entire at bat, staring in at the signs, and now Tomas coming up, chance to do some damage. The Cardinals just want to make sure that they disguise those signs well enough that A.J. can't relay them to Yasmani.
Where to pitch Yasmani Tomas? Well, in, either up or down, apparently. He's so good at taking that pitch down and away. And we just talked about that with Goldie. But Yasmani, and Goldie too, will just shoot it into the right field corner. Boy, Lance Lynn cruised a 14-pitch first when he left the bases loaded, an 8-pitch second, but he has labored ever since. One pitch. And this has been the recurring theme for the D-backs in this series. Stranding base runners, not getting that big hit with runners in scoring position. They've had their chances many times so far. How about a run or two? take there by Tomas, and he's back even, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Look at Yadier Molina, had set up inside right underneath the hands of Yasmani Tomas, and then as Lynn began his delivery, Yadi jumped out to that outside corner.
It's full.
Runners on the move with 2 outs in the inning.
And Trumbo, who homered in his last at bat, 425 feet to straightaway center, would be next. AJ at second, Goldie at first. They'll be off with the pitch here. 2 outs, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Lynn wants to be sure.
It seems like every time he gets in a jam or something close to a jam, Lance Lynn just wants to go away, 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 away with everything.
This has got to change. 2 for 21 in the series. The Cardinals are the best in the business at preventing you from scoring in these situations. Diamondbacks had bases full in the first, could not get a run across. 3-2 pitch. There go the runners. Tomas will do it one more time.
Once again, waiting until the last instant to slide out on that outside corner. And after the meeting on the mound, he didn't even hang a sign for Lance Lynn. They verbally communicated what the next pitch is going to be. I'm going to go back there. I'm not going to give a sign. Just throw the pitch. And the ball was fouled out of play. So once again, he just kind of says, throw it. I know what's coming.
Here go the runners. Tomas lines it off the glove of Wong. He recovers, though, and he's able to throw him out. Colton Wong almost clanked a big one there. And Lance Lynn is out of trouble. Once again, the Diamondbacks threaten but cannot get the runs across. And as we go to the bottom of the 5th, they trail it 2-1. And she does not miss a single Diamondbacks game on TV. She's a huge D-backs fan. So from all of us here at the Diamondbacks and Fox Sports Arizona, Irene, happy 96th.
Absolutely.
Big fan. One hop to second, right to Pennington. We got another birthday tomorrow, a little birdie told me. Do we have a nice photo of Todd?
We know what he looks like.
Todd Walsh. Todd, you don't look 96. You look great.
My kidneys and liver feel no.
Hello.
I'm more kidding. Yes, never mind. It's great to have an off day though in Milwaukee. I hope you guys will go curling with us.
I'm sorry, what?
You're having your hair curled.
Yeah.
Matt Carpenter. You gonna put your head under one of those big blue things at the salon?
I still see my mom doing that every Saturday. My hair just curls when I get to the Midwest. I don't know about you.
You're going curling?
Yes.
Is that because Graham has convinced you to try it?
No, we've actually done it before north of the border, but I've never curled, I guess, in the States.
Few of us have.
Yeah, okay.
That's with the brooms and all that stuff on the ice.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised there's still a sheet at this late date, but apparently in Milwaukee, that's how they do things. We've got some players that'll be taking part. Can't wait to see that.
Diamondback curling.
We'll of course have GoPro cameras on every stone, every head, everything you can think of. We'll be documenting all this.
You certainly seem to have the lingo down, the terminology.
I'm going to be the skip.
Look at this. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't either. I just hang around Canadians.
Different language. Hey. Second walk issued by Colementer. Here comes Matt Holliday.
It's a great day for birthdays. We want to wish a happy birthday also to Lucille McCage of Kingman. She turns 97 today. Big time D-backs fan. Happy birthday, Lucille.
I know what all these people need for their birthdays. A win.
Oh, no kidding.
Don't want to get swept here. Diamondbacks have been swept at home by the Pirates this year, swept at Dodger Stadium, swept at Philadelphia. And trying to avoid a sweep here in St. Louis. Holiday so far 0 for 2. Struck out his last time up. This is lifted in the air along the right field line, but it's drifting into the seats and out of play. Holiday 4 hits in the series. And he's got to reach base safely here to set a new Cardinal record. Right now he's tied with Pujols. Reaching base safely in 42 straight games to open up the year. But so far 0 for 2. Carpenter is the runner at first, 1 out. And there it is. Drops it into the gap in right center field. Carpenter's in at third, and a new record for Matt Holliday.
Round of applause and a partial standing ovation from the crowd here at Busch Stadium for Matt Holliday. Congratulations to Matt. Now knock it off.
Well, we mentioned this on Monday. He's been in St. Louis longer than he was in Colorado. They have the souvenir there. A new Cardinal record. He's in his 7th season with St. Louis. So they're on the corners. Only 1 out for Peralta. He singled his last time up, 1 for 2. Peralta 5 for 10 in the series. A double, a homer, 3 RBIs. He's hit safely now in 6 straight games and 21 of his last 23. Now the Cardinals were getting nothing offensively from the shortstop spot after 1 year of Pete Kozma there, so they decided they had to go get somebody. They ponied up $53 million for Peralta. Always an offensive first type player at the position. Randall Delgado throwing in the Diamondback bullpen. Cole Mentor now over 90 pitches. And the acquisition so far has worked out. Peralta delivered. This is just his 2nd year in St. Louis. He's 32. He'll be 33 tomorrow, actually, speaking of birthdays. But this year, no National League shortstop has more home runs than Peralta. He's 2nd in the league in batting average and RBIs at the position. And only Brandon Crawford has a higher OPS. Right to Tomas. And that's out number 2. Brings up Grichuk.
Tomas positioned perfectly there. Had to be, because that ball was hit like a bullet. Just dropped down to his right knee, made the catch of that sinking line drive.
The youngster Randall Grichuk. Duffy Gozawish out to the mound now. Grichuk doubled his last time up, 1 for 2. A couple of hits last night, including a home. Had a big pinch hit single in the 8th inning Monday night. All this guy's done is hit. And he's only 23. He's got it up to 300 now. Carpenter is at third, Holliday at first, 2 outs. Grichuk on the DL with a back strain. April 16th, missed 27 games, came back about 10 days ago. And he has admitted to being a little jumpy up there at the plate, a little over anxious. Now that he's back after missing so much time. But you never know by looking at the results. This is inside, 1-1. This is a young guy that can really barrel up a baseball. John Mozeliak, the Cardinals GM, said this spring, they watch Grichuk, and he said anybody who gets to see him from time to time, there is glimpses of greatness. And that's the GM talking. He's got all the talent, all the tools. 5 of them, in fact, and they're legit, Mozeliak says. And he said Grichuk's power is probably the strongest on the ball club. And that's saying something. 2-1. Good pitch there.
It's amazing what a motivator the incumbent coming back off the disabled list is. Randall Grichuk and Peter Borges kind of sharing time while John Jay's been on the disabled list. Jay played in a rehab outing last night for the first time. He should be back relatively soon, and somebody's going to have to go at that point.
As Jay's in center, Grichuk can play center. He's a very good defensive outfielder, but he profiles more at a corner spot. Holiday's not going anywhere. They're really down on Hayward here, at least the fans and the media. Well, they love this guy. And so you do the math. They know Hayward, who's a free agent at the end of this year, can walk away. So there's even though they traded Shelby Miller to get him, there's not a lot of emotional investment there, certainly. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Josh, who got out of a big jam in the 4th, trying to do it again here in the 5th. With Delgado warming up in the bullpen. Carpenter and Holiday. 2-2 pitch. We had that interview with Josh that was done yesterday, talking about his keys to the game and what he's got to do here. That 32 pitch 4th. And he sounded to me, Bob, under the weather. He sounded sick, so he might not be feeling great out there.
It's odd to hear Josh go more than a sentence or 2 without saying something funny or having a funny expression on his face. Yeah, he seemed very, very serious, very subdued.
Having a hard time putting Grichuk away. 8th pitch of the at-bat coming up. Grichuk, 24th overall pick in the 1st round by the Angels back in 2009. The guy the Angels took with the next pick after Grichuk, another high school player, Mike Trout. Got him! Josh Colmenter with a big out number 3 in the 5th, and he strands 2 more and keeps it a 1-run ball game. Here's what's next, brought to you by CenturyLink. Mark Trumbo, 425 to dead center his last time up. He'll lead off the 6th. Diamondbacks trying to change their luck against these St. Louis Cardinals. D-backs have lost 8 of their last 9 versus the Redbirds and need a win here to avoid a sweep at Busch Stadium. They trail it 2-1 as we start the 6th, and Mark Trumbo leads it off against Big Lance Lynn. Mark is 8th home run of the year last time up. 425 feet. Way out of here to dead center. About 3/4 of the way up the hitter's background there behind Randall Grichuk. So it's Trumbo, Pennington, Gozawish, 5, 6, and 7 in the Arizona 6th. One or one. Mark, 6 home runs here in May, but he's hitting under 210 for the month. And that's after he hit nearly 320 in April. And this was Mark in the 4th to lead off the inning.
Loves those pitches down in the zone.
That's a big home run here, too. That's way out of here. And in April, Mark was, you see the difference right here. He was a much more complete hitter last month. He was using the whole field nicely, going the other way. All things that he's talked about. The strikeouts were down, the walk rate was up, everything. And he's been a little more of a slugger here in May. Still got 11 RBIs. The homers, you love those, but the averages suffered a bit. And Chip Hale said when he saw Mark Trumbo a lot with the Angels, when Chip was Bob Melvin's bench coach in Oakland, you know, there were times where they just could not get him out. Maybe Chip said Trumbo's a big, strong guy, good short swing, really good bat speed, and when all that comes together, and we've seen that this year with Mark, exciting things can happen. And when he chases pitches like that, much less so. 5 strikeouts for Lynn, 1 away.
That pitch is kryptonite for a lot of major league hitters. That hard, in this case, a cutter, but it reacts as a slider, starts over the outer third of the plate, and then sweeps out of the zone low and away. That's tough for a lot of righties to handle. And by the way, that home run by Mark Trumbo against Lance Lynn, the first homer that Lynn has given up to a right-handed hitter this year. Wow.
Cliff Pennington rolls it into right. A base hit for Penny. Had a pinch hit single last night. This is just his 9th start this year. And it's funny with Penny, you know, they've had this 3-man weave in the middle infield. You've got Nick Ahmed, you've got Chris Owens, you've got Aaron Hill. All those guys have to play. And Cliff has become more and more the utility type, the backup role. But when he's been in the starting lineup, he's hit .280. So he seems to do better when he gets more at bats. Most guys do. Tuffy goes away 0 for 2 so far. And Tuffy looking for his first hit in the series. He is 0 for 10 so far. Pitcher spot starting to come back around again. Cole Mentor over 100, so David Peralta starting to think about an at-bat. We've got Tuffy up right now with 1 out. Ahmed behind him, pitcher spot after that.
Yeah, you saw David Peralta standing right there close to the bat rack behind the coaching staff. I used to send our guys down the tunnel. I didn't want the other manager to see a guy getting ready for a possible pinch hit appearance. Let him think that Josh Coleman is going to take the at bat. Josh has only given up 2 runs through 5 innings. It's not out of the ordinary that you'd let him hit for himself at this juncture of a ball game. So send that possible pinch hitter, you know, back to the cage where he's out of sight until you absolutely need him.
Devil's advocate, he seems to be, though, standing as if he were out on deck, David, in that dugout, kind of getting the feel for Lynn's rhythm and timing.
Yeah, it could be. And the other side of the coin is to try to force that other manager into getting a relief pitcher up in the bullpen. If he sees pinch hitters lined up over there in the dugout, well, wait a minute, maybe I better get somebody going.
In there for a strike, 1-1.
This is a little gamesmanship.
You can see David going through in the dugout his on-deck routine. Now he needs a moment here.
Buckles always go on the outside of the shin guards for you young catchers out there. If you have those buckles on the inside, it's been known that you can actually hook them together as you're running. So you always put the buckles on the outside.
Plus, it's easier to scuff the ball that way too, isn't it?
Yeah, that too.
I've heard people do that.
I've just heard.
Yeah, just rumors. Yeah, you can just, you know, you got the ball in your hand, it's down there by your foot. You can just kind of scuff it up against that buckle on the ankle there.
Well, it's been reported that some guys actually take a file and sharpen those buckles so that there's a real sharp edge there to put a cut in the baseball.
There goes Penny. We'll keep him out of the double play. In fact, they're not. Yeah, they do get 1 out there as they get the tag on Gozawish. And Tuffy is down, holding his left knee. Sweep tag there from Reynolds. And here comes Ken Crenshaw, the trainer, along with Chip Hale, Ryan DePanfilo as well. Gozawish is down. He stretched that left leg out to get the bag and apparently landed awkwardly.
And he beat the relay throw at second base, but right there, Tuffy, in an effort to avoid the tag and stretch out for the base, got himself in an awkward position and obviously did something to that left leg.
With that front leg is extended there for so long and then plants in front of the base. Planted that foot down really hard. And there's Ken Crenshaw with his back to you. Ryan DePanfilo, the assistant trainer.
This is a process of elimination for Ken Crenshaw. There are certain tests you do to determine, is there any ligament damage? Is there any cartilage damage? Is there a broken bone in there? And you go through the checklist, and you see him moving his foot around right now, asking him, does this hurt? Does that hurt? Narrowing it down and hopefully be able to identify exactly what the injury is.
It's hard to measure how important that Tuffy Gozawish has been to the Diamondbacks defensively. He has been brilliant back there. Only Derek Norris and Francisco Cervelli have thrown out more attempted base stealers in the National League among catchers. He's second in the league in defensive runs saved. He gets along brilliantly with the pitching staff, manages that, and he will limp off the field here in St. Louis.
Certainly, we're keeping our fingers crossed that that's nothing long term for Tuffy Gozawish. Ideally, something that'll respond well to some quick treatments and get right back on the field as quickly as possible.
Well, Todd Walsh is down there, and as soon as Todd can have access to the clubhouse, that'll be priority one. Find out how Tuffy is doing. And we'll have that for you as soon as we can here on Fox Sports Arizona. Looks to be, considering the way he was rolling around on the ground right there, he looks okay. Certainly better than he did a few moments ago. So Cliff Pennington is in there at second now. One more look.
And certainly somebody who can understand what Tuffy's going through right now. Yadier Molina pats him on the backside as he walked by, telling him hang in there. That fraternity, regardless of which team you play for, everybody that puts on that gear is part of a fraternity.
2 outs for Nick Ahmed. David Peralta is indeed out there in the on-deck circle. He would hit for Colementor. Nick 0 for 2, struck out looking his last time up. 2 down, and Pennington at second. Diamondbacks runners in scoring position tonight. It's been a theme throughout this series. 0 for 3. They have stranded 6 so far. And if you can get a run across right here, take Josh Colementor off the hook. Reno playing a doubleheader today against Iowa. Saltalamacchia and O'Brien, if you have to think about a roster move, are the starting catchers in each game. Salty 1 for 3 in the first game. He drove in 2, had a solo home run, Jared Saltalamacchia. Peter O'Brien is catching game 2 for Reno, and he is 0 for 2 so far at the plate. So, if needed, there is some depth there in the minors. But hopefully it's not necessary. We'll check on Tuffy as soon as we can and pass that along to you. 2-2 to Nick Ahmed. It's full. Peralta set to hit for Colementor.
I know there's 2 outs in the inning here, but David Peralta in the on-deck circle and then Ender Inciarte in the leadoff spot, back-to-back lefties. And much like last night's ball game, Mike Matheny doesn't have a lefty warming up in the bullpen. He's got 2 left-handers, including a specialist in Randy Choate. And Lance Lynn creeping up on 100 pitches in this game. I mentioned before, not a big deal for a horse like Lance Lynn, but it's a potential turning point in the ball game right here.
Yeah, right now you would think you'd want the lefty in there, especially the classic loogie, the lefty one-out guy that Choda's been and been so good at for so long. They have Segrist, who's been a tremendous pitcher for them, but there's Derek Lilliquist, the pitching coach, and Mike Matheny. And they will let Lynn work to the lefty here. And the bullpen's still quiet. It's 4 walks now issued by Lance Lynn. And you can see the splits on Peralta, who has struggled against left-hand pitching. But is in there against the right-hander Lynn. Pennington is at second, and Ahmed at first. Kind of like he broke his bat. That's going to drop in front of Hayward, and it does. Here comes Pennington. It gets behind him, and they'll wave Ahmed as well. The throw is cut off, and the Diamondbacks get a huge break there. And they take a 3-2 lead. Jason Hayward, many folks will tell you, is the best defensive outfielder in all of baseball. He's been a multiple Gold Glove winner, but he's had a very dicey series out there in right field.
Yeah, he has been a good defender in the past, but not in this series. Kind of misjudged that ball, tried to come in at the last minute, fielded on a short hop and unleash a throw to home plate, just played it off his body into foul territory.
A little broken bat bloop off the bat of Peralta turns into a 2-run base hit. It scored a single and an RBI. E9 allows Ahmed to score and Peralta to get it a second. And now here's Ender Inciarte. And you know that's just got to drive Lance Lynn nuts. This is down the left field line and in the seats. Ender 0 for 3 so far. But with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, batting over .310. Peralta's at second, 2 outs. Reynolds at first, collects it, but the Diamondbacks take the lead. With some help from Jason Hayward, David Peralta sends 2 Diamondback runners home. Bottom of 6 coming up in St. Louis, and it's 3-2 D-backs. Got a big RBI single that ended up driving in 2 with the help of the error by Jason Hayward. And the Diamondbacks have a 3-2 lead. New battery for Arizona. Randall Delgado, his 19th appearance of the year, takes over for Colementor after Peralta pinch hit the Diamondback starter. And with Tuffy Gozowish suffering the injury, Jordan Pacheco takes over behind the plate. Keep in mind, they're down to their final catcher here. Cliff Pennington is the emergency catcher, and he started the ball game at second base. They do have Aaron Hill and Chris Owings on the bench. Yadier Molina, Mark Reynolds, and Jason Hayward 6, 7, and 8 in the St. Louis 6th. Molina doubled and scored in the second. He's 1 for 2. First thing I thought of, Bob, when Tuffy went down like that was Cody Ross. Now Cody planted that front foot in the ground like that, and it just kind of locked up, and he almost bent all the way over forward. And that's how he had that horrific hip injury. But Tuffy, who thank goodness at least certainly didn't look nearly as serious, kind of the same motion with that front foot planting and sort of locking into the dirt.
And you just hope the nature of his position. He obviously has to have very strong yet very flexible legs. Yeah, hopefully that will allow him to withstand whatever damage was done and make it a very short time out of the lineup. I mean, there could be no more demoralizing and debilitating injury than a guy that's a starting catcher, an everyday catcher.
He has certainly been that. That is in fair territory. Long throw for Tomas. And a nice one-hop stop there by Goldie for the first out.
You're talking about a guy that sees your pitching staff every time through, from start to start to start. Tuffy knows what Chase Anderson had working last time out, what he has working today, what Josh Colementer's been doing in the past, what pitch does he like to throw in a 3-1 count to a power hitter. And a lot of those things just become second nature in the relationship between a pitching staff and a catcher.
Mark Reynolds has been aboard twice, an RBI single in the second. He walked his last time up in the fourth. Tomas one more time.
Tomas has developed a habit of going down to the ground on just about every play. Now, most of them have worked out to his and the Diamondbacks' favor, but I think the next step in his development as a defender down there at the hot corner is to stay on his feet a little bit more.
And he will move over to the second base position as they put the shift on for Jason Hayward. And Chip Hale before the ball game speaking about Yasmani Tomas and Jake Lamb trying to figure out, and he admitted, I'm going to have to get some what do you call it, graph paper or something, and do some math and figure out how to get these guys in there. But Chip said they believe that when we come back from Milwaukee for the first game Monday, Jake Lamb will then leave. He's in extended spring right now. He'll leave and go to one affiliate. They're not sure which one right now, and get some minor league at bats. And then hopefully after 4 or 5 days of that, he'll rejoin the ball club, preferably by the time we start the next road trip. And as we know, Tomas's bat, the way he's hitting, he's got to be in there, and it's going to get crowded. David Hernandez continues his rehab from Tommy John as well. This is over the head of Ahmed, away from the shift and into left center. David Hernandez is trying to pitch for AA Mobile, but the Bay Bears have had horrible weather down there. Just can't get a game in. It's like they're the Rockies all of a sudden. So that has slowed some opportunities for David Hernandez, who's stuck down there in Mobile just trying to get some innings in. So his timetable's been backed up a bit. And now the pitcher spot up, and a 2-out base runner for the Cardinals. Will have a pinch hitter for Lance Lynn. Tony Cruz, the backup catcher. Here comes Mike Harkey.
You know, this is not unique to the Diamondbacks, but in Major League Baseball's effort to speed up the game and eliminate some downtime, I think this is one area that they should address. Every time a pinch hitter comes off the bench, the pitching coach makes a trip to the mound, just to probably go over the scouting report, make sure that Randall Delgado knows exactly what he wants to do here to Tony Cruz. It seems to me like you just went over this guy in the advance meeting before the series. You should have a pretty good idea, and if the pitcher does not, certainly the catcher should know. It just seems like an automatic at this point. Pinch hitter, well, then the pitching coach has to make a trip to the mound. And I'm not picking on Mike Harkey. As I said, it's all-around baseball.
It seems to happen a lot when there are 2 outs in the inning, because you want to make sure, okay, we're 1 out away, just get this guy and we can get out of here. That seems to make or increase at least the sense of urgency with that meeting. So here's Cruz, just under 210 for the year. The backup catcher hitting for Lynn, the pitcher, 2 outs in the 6th. And Cruz's playing time, look, when you're the backup catcher in St. Louis, I mean, bring a magazine or something.
You're the Maytag repairman.
Yeah, he knows his role here. And he has stayed, in terms of the playing time, remarkably consistent the last 3 years, with Molina out there all the time. In fact, last 3 seasons, Cruz has played 51, 51, and 50 games. Hayward a perfect 5 for 5 in a stolen base attempt this year.
And a lot of those games were coming in to pick up for Yadier Molina in a blowout game one way or the other, just to get Yadi out of there, save him a few innings.
I mean, no guy in baseball knows his role more than Tony Cruz. I mean, the consistency of the numbers is crazy. Last 3 years, these are his at-bats the last 3 years. 126, 123, and 135. He knows his role. And he knows how much he's going to play and basically how often. He did not go. That's Chris Guccione down at first. A ball and a strike to Cruz. He's only started 10 games behind the plate this year for the Cardinals. He started 5 games. He's played in 10. So they've played about 50 games, and he's only played 10 times. One and two. The bullpen will get busy. Mitch Harris, the Naval Academy grad. Talked a lot about him Monday at Memorial Day. Took some time with combat boots on while he was shagging flies during batting practice. Hayward off for the pitch that time, and it's fouled back.
And we should point out that with Big Matt Adams going on the disabled list, the Cardinals called up Ed Easley, who can catch. So that's why Mike Matheny feels comfortable using Tony Cruz to pinch hit in this situation. Even though he's the backup catcher, he's got a third catcher available today.
Yeah, Ed Easley, the longtime Diamondback farmhand, former first-round pick by the D-backs, who has still never appeared in a major league game. Just called up from AAA Memphis today when Matt Adams went on the DL with that quad strain. Diamondback Live postgame show follows our ball game. Reaction from the clubhouse, all the latest news, as much as they'll provide anyway on the condition of Tuffy Gozuich. Reaches out and lifts it into right center field, but AJ's there. And that's the end of the 6th inning. We head to the 7th. Diamondbacks lead the Cardinals 3-2. I guess Naval Academy grad who is in the Cardinal bullpen, and there are the boots on Memorial Day. He was out there during batting practice in the old military gear.
Seems appropriate.
And he's out there to start the 7th inning on in relief of Lance Lynn. Those shoes will probably work a little better for this. A.J. Pollock, Paul Goldschmidt, and Yasmani Tomas, 2, 3, and 4 for the Diamondbacks. Mitch Harris, his 12th appearance of the year.
Only the second United States Naval Academy ball player to ever play in the major leagues. The other one was the infamous Nemo Gaines back in 1921 for the Washington Senators. Nemo. That's just so perfect.
Well, you found Nemo.
We've been looking for him.
A.J. Pollock has been up 3 times, and he's reached base safely 3 times. 2 singles and a walk. He's got a stolen base. Well, he is just red hot, A.J. Had a bunt single his last at bat. 16 for his last 31. Right to Carpenter at third. There's the whammy on him. 1 away. Hashtag vote Goldie. 2015 Major League Baseball All-Star Game coming up this July, only on Fox from Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, or as some people call it, Good American Ballpark. It's a nice park.
Pitchers call it a launching pad, a bandbox.
It's a tough place to pitch if you're a fly ball pitcher, that's for sure. Goldie walked his last time up. He's 0 for 2. Harris can bring it up there, mid-90s. Well, and tailed back in out over the plate. Throw that one more time. Breaking ball misses, 1-1. Goldie an All-Star last year, 2nd year in a row. First ballot results are in on the All-Star voting, and Goldie right now is 3rd among National League first basemen, behind Gonzalez and Rizzo. Last year, The push was on, and hashtag Vote Goldie ended up with nearly 2 million more votes than Adrian Gonzalez. And was the well-deserved All-Star starter. 95-mile-an-hour fastball from Harris, but that misses, and it's 3-1.
Once again, just trying to stay away from Goldie, preferably down and away.
Shoots it foul down the right field line. You ever been to the Naval Academy? It's great down there.
No, I have not.
It's beautiful. Annapolis, water down there. There's great sort of old downtown area right near the campus. Very cool place to go visit. Chopper to shortstop. Peralta backhands it. Low throw, and they won't get Goldie. Reynolds can't clean that up.
Well, it looked like Goldie beat it anyway.
Yeah, I think you're right.
First base umpire Chris Guccione looked like he was winding up to call Goldie out, and the ball got away from Mark Reynolds, but it looked to me like he beat the play anyway. Peralta very deliberate in getting the ball out of his glove and throwing it across. Reynolds can't come up with the pick, and that ball in the dirt.
Nothing yet on the scoreboard. Here's Tomas. Tomas' single his first time up. His hit streak is now at 11 games. They rule that a base hit for Paul Goldschmidt. Big swing and a miss. So Goldie, a 1-out single. Tomas 1 for 3. D-backs on an airplane right after this ball game ends. Off day tomorrow. We're back with you here on Fox Sports Arizona Friday. Game 1 against the Brewers at Miller Park in Milwaukee. Ruby De La Rosa and Jimmy Nelson. Saturday's game is on Fox Sports 1. This is in the air to Holiday. Goldie will bluff and hold at second. Take a look at the rest of this road trip. Let's go places. Brought to you by your Valley Toyota dealer. De La Rosa and Nelson. Diamondback Live pregame show 4:30 on Friday. Don't forget Fox Sports 1 for Saturday's game. Jeremy Hellickson against Kyle Lowe's. And then Chase Anderson against Matt Golson. That's Sunday. Matt Golson. Good pitching, Golson. So don't forget, D-Back Nation, Fox Sports 1 for the game on Saturday. Kyle Loge we knew, but we didn't know. Eesh. It's a long story.
Boy, and Matt Garza pitching the Sunday game is a little bit in the same mold as John Lesser from the Cubs. He has all kinds of trouble fielding bunts and throwing the ball to first base on pickoff attempts.
Matt Garza. 0-1 to Trumbo, who homered in the 4th.
Down there where Mark likes it. We've talked about it at length recently. The power comes on pitches down low in the zone. Showed an ability to get on top of high fastballs early in the season. You mentioned the average was much better in the first month of the season, although the power numbers were down, but it seemed like everybody was pitching him up early in the season.
And almost 320 in April. He's under 210 here in May. Lays Leads off the 0-2 there, and 96 from Harris, and it's 1-2. Back even, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Harris really mixing things up here. Mark says he's always thinking hit the ball in the air. Get it up there. Ooh, the head Goldie tap dancing toward the bag at second base. He started that run. Just a couple of little crow hops over toward the second base bag. They had him going the wrong way that time.
And Mike Matheny up on the top step of that first base dugout while they wait for their video coordinator to take a look. Yeah, fortunately, a high throw from Harris to Reynolds. Had a long way to bring that tag down, and Goldie was able to get in underneath.
Laugh about it now, but that was a little too close for comfort. Two outs, 2-2 to Trumbo. Goldie holds it first, and Trumbo looks at ball 3. Our Chaz Roberts air conditioning cool play of the game. Mark Trumbo leads off the 4th. 425 feet to deep center. His 8th of the year. That's our Chaz Roberts air conditioning cool play of the game. 3-2 now. Reynolds will still hold Goldschmidt on the bag at first. Goldie takes off, and Trumbo looks at ball 4. So a pair now of 2-out base runners for Cliff Pennington. Cardinals pitchers have issued now 5 walks, 4 by Lance Lynn, 1 by Harris. And so far, St. Louis has only had 1 clean 1-2-3 inning. That was when Lynn retired Tuffy, Ahmed, and Colementor in the top of the 2nd. Pennington singled and scored his last time up, 1 for 3. Just a little base hit, little infield single, just something through there. At this point in the ball game, put a big run up on that board. Looks like Andrew Chafin is ready down there in the Diamondback bullpen. Cliff skies one to left center field. Grichuk ranging way over there. Now Holiday comes over and takes it. And Harris strands 2. We stretch here at Busch Stadium. 3-2 Diamondbacks. And select seating for all afternoon weekday games this year. So make sure you're with us at Chase Field Wednesday, June 3rd. That's a 12:40 matchup against the Atlanta Braves. Get your tickets now at dbacks.com/matinee. Well, we thought from our vantage point that maybe Andrew Chafin was warming up down there at the Diamondback bullpen. Turned out to be another lefty. It's Oliver Perez, and he'll work to the top of the Cardinal order here in the bottom of the 7th with a 1-run lead.
Back-to-back lefties to start the inning for the Cardinals. Colton Wong at the top of the order, followed by Matt Carpenter, and then you've got some right-handed thunder. So I would assume Diamondbacks will have a righty going into bullpen as Perez begins his work here.
Yeah, he's already down there throwing. Colton Wong, Matt Carpenter, and then Matt Holliday. Wong, first pitch he saw, first pitch of the ball game from Josh Colementor. He took him deep for his 6th homer. He's 1 for 3. Tomas sneaks in on the grass at 3rd, and sure enough, Wong shows bunt but fouls it off. This was Colton Wong on the first pitch of the ball game.
Boy, talk about not letting a pitcher settle in on the mound. Josh Colementer's first delivery, a fastball up and out over the plate. Colton Wong put the Cardinals on the board right away.
And the 9th home run given up by Josh this year. 8 of them here in the month of May. And Wong is having a big year, all-star caliber player. In fact, Wong and the next 2 guys coming up after him, Carpenter and Holliday, all in the top 10 in the National League in hitting. So this is going to be no easy feat here for the Diamondback bullpen. Very shallow center, long run for Pollock, and he comes in and calls off Ahmed for the first outs. That'll bring up Carpenter, who walked his last time up. He's 0 for 2.
Take a look at this day in Major League Baseball history. Back in 2000 on this day, the Cardinals paid tribute to Hall of Famer Dizzy Dean by dedicating another statue outside of Busch Stadium. Dizzy Dean, one of the great characters in the game of all time. So many great quotes attributed to Dizzy Dean. It ain't bragging if you can back it up. One of the favorite stories I ever heard about Dizzy Dean was he made a bet with one of his teammates that he would strike out Vince DiMaggio 4 times in a game. Well, he punched him out the first 3 times. The 4th at bat, Vince DiMaggio popped one up behind home plate. Dizzy came running in from the mound screaming at his own catcher, let it drop, let it drop. The catcher did, and he went ahead to strike him out and win his bet.
They made a movie about Dizzy Dean's life. I think it was Pride of St. Louis. To look that up now. I think Dan Daly was the actor that played Jerome Hannah Dean. Dizzy and Daffy, they were a great 1-2 combo at Old Sportsman's Park for a while.
Yeah, at that time, the Cardinals were the westernmost and southernmost team in Major League Baseball. They were kind of America's team at that time. Everybody west of the Mississippi was a Cardinal fan.
Yeah, this was the westernmost outpost of Major League Baseball. Yeah, Pride of St. Louis, 1952. The story of Jerome Dizzy Dean, as portrayed by actor Dan Bailey. Finished up with the Cubs. That was one of those great baseball movies. You'd come home from school as a kid, it'd be on the UHF station, black and white. Watch it over and over. 1-2 on Carpenter. Got him inside. Called strike 3. Eric Cooper rings him up. Well, you'll take that location from Ollie every time.
Just does nip that inside corner of the plate.
Well, they've had right-hand action down there in the Diamondback bullpen. You got the right-hander Holliday coming up. Peralta behind him. Gritchett, the whole thing. Molina. J.C. Ramirez has been warming. Chip told us before the game today he'd like not to use Ramirez if he could get away with it. He's going to try to do just that here. But it's a 1-run game of the 7th and a dangerous hitter up there in Holliday. Here's Ramirez, who, don't forget, gave up the walk-off homer in the 10th inning against Peralta here Monday night. Peralta's on deck.
Another great Dizzy Dean quote. He said, if Satchel Paige and I were on the same team, we'd clinch the pennant by the 4th of July and go fishing until the World Series.
He was from Arkansas, I believe.
I believe you're right, yeah.
Outdoors, hunting and fishing all the time. Imagine playing here in St. Louis through the summer, those big, heavy wool uniforms they wore. Holy cow. 0-2 on Holliday.
He was asking spring training what kind of season he thought he and his brother would have. He says, oh, we'll probably win about 40 games. Well, they went out and won 45 combined. He was like Joe Namath before it was fashionable.
Change
change-up grip there by Ollie Perez. And then changes or not once he gets into his glove.
Dizzy Dean, 1934, went 30-7 and threw 311 innings. 1935, won 28 games, threw 325 innings. How about that? 30 wins, 311 innings, a 2.66 ERA. Pretty good. 1-2. And get the call there, and it's even 2 balls and 2 strikes.
And believe it or not, after he won the 28 games in 1935, he got a pay cut because Branch Rickey said he should have won more. He didn't win 30.
Thanks to the reserve clause, you just had to take what you could get. 2-2 pitch. Just inside, and it's full.
He was facing a rookie making his first major league at bat, and he walked off the mound and said, "Son, what kind of pitch would you like to miss?" I would have liked to play with him. No, I didn't. The guys in the truck. No, I didn't, but I would have liked to.
3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Here it is. The full Tiante, and it's fouled back to the screen. You saw Ollie kind of go, "Oh, not again." His reaction after Holiday just got a piece of that to foul it off. He gave him the full Louis Tiant that time. As Pedro Martinez once said, pitchers hate to throw pitches. Got him! Another called strike 3 by Eric Cooper behind the plates. That just caught the corner, he's telling Matt Holliday. And Ali Perez gets the top of the order, 1-2-3 with 2 strikeouts, and he keeps it a 3-2 Diamondback lead. And of course, St. Louis, a very tough team to beat here in this ballpark. 17-5 at Busch Stadium this year, but the Diamondbacks take a 3-2 lead into the 8th inning. And Jordan Pacheco, who came into the ball game when Tuffy Gozawish went down, will lead off the game. Little flare out to right center field. Grichuk is there. If you're just joining us, this is what happened to Tuffy Gozawish, trying to beat out a ground ball in the 6th inning. Planted awkwardly with that front foot, that left foot extended there, and seemed to injure his left knee. He was down for a while holding his left knee. He limped off the field under his own power, but was down for a bit, and there's still no word on his condition. 1 out for Nick Ahmed. Nick walked and scored his last time up. He's 0 for 2. There's the strike, 0-1. Jordan will put the gear back on. Cardinals began the ball game 4.5 up on the Cubs atop the NL Central. Chicago hosting Washington, and the Nationals leading at Wrigley Field 3-0 in the 9th. Chris Bryant and Bryce Harper have been going back and forth.
What a show that's been.
And Harper just homered off Lester. Bryant hit some 477 off the scoreboard, 480 off the other thing. And they are just going back and forth. There's a strike.
Yeah, Bryant homered on Monday, a 2-1 Nationals victory. Yesterday, the Cubs won 3-2. Both guys homered, Bryant and Harper. And tonight, Nationals up 2-0 in the 8th inning, and Harper hit his 18th home run against John Lester.
And Goldie's second in the National League in OPS behind only Harper, who's having an MVP season. This is bounced to second, Colton Wong. 2 down. FoxSportsArizona.com, all your online local sports coverage you won't find anywhere else. You'll get reaction from the Diamondback clubhouse. Tony La Russa back in town, reflects on his return to St. Louis. And the Honey Badger at Cardinals training camp. That's the Arizona Football Cardinals. Says he is 100% good to go. All that and more. FoxSportsArizona.com. Aaron Hill will hit for the pitcher, Oliver Perez. Aaron at 250 on the year, 3 homers. He is 3 for 8 as a pinch hitter this year. And he was in the starting lineup last night, 1 for 4, couple of strikeouts. Fly ball left field, Matt Holliday near the Diamondback bullpen. And Harris works a 1-2-3-8. Diamondbacks hanging on to a 3-2 lead. The home half of the 8th inning, Mark Trumbo. A big hit for the D-backs, led off the 4th with a solo homer, his 8th of the year. Colton Wong hit the first pitch of the ball game from Josh Comenter out for a homer. And the big hit here, David Peralta. This went down as an RBI single, but it scored 2 with help from the error by Hayward and Wright. And that gave the Diamondbacks the lead. And so far it has held up. Randall Delgado, Oliver Perez had 2 strikeouts in a 1-2-3 7th. And now J.C. Ramirez is on to open up the 8th inning. And this is coincidence, not irony, but the guy who will lead it off for the Cardinals is Johnny Peralta. And this is how the game ended Monday here in St. Louis. 10th inning. A walk-off homer.
You talk about guys that kind of fly under the radar. Johnny Peralta since May 1st, 7 for 20 with runners in scoring position. He's driven in 12, including that game winner on Monday night.
And so here's the rematch. The remarkable thing about that effort by J.C. Ramirez is he came on in the 9th inning after the first 2 had reached against Enrique Burgos, a couple of singles, and he struck out in a row with 2 on and no outs. Carpenter, Holliday, and Adams, 1-2-3 to end the inning and the threat. But then Peralta led off the 10th with that solo homer. We have news from the clubhouse on Tuffy Gozowich. And it's very encouraging. To this point, they're calling it a jammed left knee.
Oh, that is good news, all things considered.
Tuffy Gozowich, a jammed left knee. And it usually in these cases you need to let swelling or whatever down soreness just kind of subside, and then they can get a more involved diagnosis. But so far so good on Tuffy. Ramirez ahead of Peralta, no balls and 2 strikes. Peralta's got 5 hits in the series. He's driven in 3. And he's got a 6-game hitting streak. Peralta, Grichuk, Molina 4, 5, and 6 in the Cardinal 8th. There's also news from the minor leagues, which is encouraging. Double-A Mobile playing at Tennessee tonight. David Hernandez continues his rehab from Tommy John. David pitched 1 inning for the Bay Bears and had 2 strikeouts. 1 scoreless inning with 2 Ks. So help is on the way, Mike Harkey. 2-2. Able to hold up, but it's full.
The bullpen has actually been really good in this series. They've inherited 6 base runners. None of those scored. The only run that has scored against the bullpen was that Johnny Peralta home run to end the game Monday night. In 9 1/3, they've given up 9 hits, struck out 12, and only walked 1 in this series.
Well, this guy's just a good hitter. It's a tough out. Second among National League shortstops in batting average. Leading the league at the position in home runs. And he drives 1 to left. Inciarte has room. But out here to Todd.
Steve, if I could, just a quick follow-up on the Tuffy Goes was just from the mood here outside the Arizona Diamondbacks dugout. There is certainly a clear sense of cautious optimism. I know that'll be one of the topics we'll bring up with manager Chip Hale on Diamondbacks High, the postgame show. I'm not sure if the Diamondbacks will make Tuffy available to speak afterwards, but I know this: if we ask him, he will. So we'll effort that as well.
Thank you, Todd. Get reaction from the clubhouse on the Diamondback Live postgame show right after the ball game here. Be careful with this kid. Randall Grichuk doubled in the fourth. He's 1 for 3. That one gets off the glove of Pacheco right there. Diamondback Live post game right after the ball game. Right back to the mound off the glove of Ramirez. Pennington has a tough play here. He tries the flip, but Grichuk with good speed beats it out. Cliff came charging in there, just kind of died in no man's land there after Ramirez deflected it, and there was no chance for the Diamondback infield.
Cliff did everything he could do on this ball as it's deflected by Ramirez, changed the direction somewhat, so now Penny, that's just a do or die. Try to shovel it on the Goldie, hope you get it there in time, but Grichuk runs way too well.
And keep that in mind. He's the tying run at first with 1 out for Molina. Doubled and scored in the second. He's 1 for 3. Cardinal bullpen gets busy. Choate the lefty, Rosenthal the righty. Rosenthal pitched the other night, was hitting 100. Which is nothing new for him. So here's Molina, 1 on, 1 out. He is 2 for 11 in the series. Double play possibility here. They'll get the lead man. Ahmed with a strong throw, and it gets Molina. Hold on. I don't think they're giving him the out at second base. Nope, they're not. They're saying it came off the bag. That's Lance Barksdale out there. The neighborhood play, keep in mind, is not subject to review. It's a pretty good call, actually. Whether or not you want to give it to him, just because they always have, but he's not near the bag when he gets the ball. Here comes Chip Hale. Now keep in mind, Major League Baseball considers this a safety issue, and that's why it is not subject to replay review. But it was pretty clear there, and that's what Lance Barksdale, I'm sure, saw, that Ahmed was not on the bag with the ball.
Now, right foot clearly came off the base right there. The throw was a little high and to Nick's left. I think if that throw would have been right on his chest above the bag, even if he comes off then, they probably get that call at second base. But anytime the throw is somewhat offline or high or low, they want to see that shortstop make contact with the base.
It was hit very slowly to Pennington at second. Ahmed knew he was really going to have to gun it, even to get Molina running up the first base line. Here comes Mike Harkey now. They do get the out at first, but Grichuk is in safely at second, and Reynolds will be the hitter with 2 outs. So the odd thing is it's 4-6-3 on the putout, but they just get the 1. And Grichuk is safe at second. Reynolds, a lot of power. Diamondback fans know that. He hit 121 homers wearing Sedona red, including 44 back to the D-backs in 09. He had an RBI single tonight in the second, walked in the fourth. He's 1 for 2.
You do have a base open, but Reynolds is a guy that strikes out 1 out of every 3 at bats. So if you execute your pitches here, should be able to retire Reynolds and get out of this inning.
Tying run at second base, 2 outs. Ball 1. Reynolds homered 22 times with Milwaukee last year when he hit under 200 for the season as a Brewer. Grichuk the tying run at second. 2-0. This is a situation that Reynolds wouldn't normally find himself because he's part of that platoon, the righty-lefty at first base. With Matt Adams, this would be Adams at bat against the right-hander, but Adams is on the DL, and they said today with that quad tear he'll be out at least 3 to 4 months. So Reynolds is going to get a lot more playing time, especially against right-hand pitching. Hayward would be next. '95 misses upstairs, and Ramirez is behind. 3 balls and a strike. Brad Ziegler looks ready in the Diamondback bullpen. And I would think if he loses Reynolds here, you'd go to Ziegler to try to get the 4-out save. Or at least the final out of the 8th here.
That makes a lot of sense. Diamondbacks have already cleared the pitcher spot in that top half of the 8th inning. Aaron Hill pinch hit for the pitcher spot.
96 right by him, 3-2. And that's right there why you pitch to Reynolds in this spot, even with first base open.
That's about as clean a bat as you'll ever see in the major leagues. Not a spot of pine tar on it.
Pristine. Just came out of the wrapper. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. He'll keep Grichuk close down here. Shift is on. Goldie all by himself on the first base side. 3 Diamondback infielders on the left-hand side. Pollock in center, shaded over toward right just a bit. A lot of room in left center field for Reynolds. 3-2 pitch. Lifts it in the air, very short right. Goldie drifting out, Trumbo coming in. And J.C. Ramirez strands the runner. The Diamondback bullpen has been terrific tonight. They keep it a 3-2 ball game.
After his playing career was over, he went into broadcasting. You know, very plain, down home. And he was working for the CBS network, and they called it the Game of the Week. He said, I don't know why they call this the Game of the Week. There's a better game on NBC, the Giants and the Dodgers.
Oops. Call programming. Well, they call them loogies, lefty one-out guys. Come in, face one guy who's a left-hand hitter, get him out, and then you're done. And that apparently is what Mike Matheny is going to do here. Ender Inciarte leads off the 9th. He's got Randy Choate in there. Seth Maness, who's been just nails in this series so far. The right-hander is ready in the Cardinal bullpen, so presumably once Choate is done with Inciarte, we'll see Maness get Pollock, Goldie, Tomas, Trumbo, all the right-hand hitters. But Ender leads off the 9th. Not like he broke his bat. Easy play for Reynolds. One away.
For Choate, this is his 22nd appearance of the season, and with that out, he's pitched a total of 9 2/3 innings.
You can see 2 pitches, 1 out. He got his 1 guy, and he's done. Mike Matheny will make the move. We'll look at Manis, who's been terrific so far. So 2 pitches, 1 out. Thanks for playing. You're done. Back after this. Ruby De La Rosa, who's been so good lately, against youngster Jimmy Nelson, a guy they like a lot in the Brewers system. That's the game on Friday, series opener at Miller Park. Diamondback Live pregame show comes your way at 4:30. Well, Seth Manis has been terrific in this series. He pitched Monday, worked 1 inning, got 3 outs on 7 pitches, came in last night to get the final out, got 1 out on 2 pitches, and here he is to get the final 2 outs. Or at least try to here in the 9th for Mike Matheny. A.J. Pollock, he's been tough to get out all night long. 2 for 3 and a walk. And A.J. a .500 hitter up there lately. He's got 16 hits in his last 32 at bats. It's crazy talk. 1-2. Ever since that pinch hit homer in Miami, it's been almost impossible, of course, as he strikes out, to get him out. But Manis, who's been so good in this series, does, and that's the 2nd out in the 9th. Here's Goldie. Hashtag vote Goldie. Campaign is underway. Right now, Goldie 3rd among National League first basemen in the All-Star balloting, behind Adrian Gonzalez and Anthony Rizzo.
Both very good players, but we can't let that happen.
No, we're going to change that. So get on with the Twitter. Hashtag vote Goldie. 2015 Major League All-Star game, only on Fox. Roller to first. Reynolds has it. And it's a 1-2-3 9th. Bottom 9 we go. Brad Ziegler coming in to try and nail down this series finale. It's 3-2. Guy to nail down the series finale here out of Missouri State. From Odessa, Missouri, it's Brad Ziegler with that .86 ERA, his 22nd appearance. He'll work to Jason Hayward, the 8th place hitter, to lead off the Cardinal 9th. Pitcher spot after that. Peter Borges from Notre Dame Prep in Scottsdale is in the on-deck circle. Here's Peter. And so he presumably will hit for the pitcher. So it looks like Hayward, Borges, and Wong, 8, 9, and 1 in the Cardinal 9th. Jason Hayward, 1 for 3, singled his last time up, and he has made the game's key play as the shift is on against Hayward. It should have been an RBI single, and it was for David Peralta, pinch hitting, but Hayward, as he's done all series, let the ball get behind him. And an extra run was able to come home, and that run has been the difference. It's 3-2, and very uncharacteristic for Hayward. A 2-time Gold Glove winner in the outfield. But he has fielded really like that throughout this series. And it looks like the offense is carrying out with him there. He's taking it with him out. Oh, there it goes to the field. And he hits this one to right and gone. We are all tied. Jason Hayward is 5th, and it's 3-3. Well, he makes up for his miscue, and he gets that run back. Colton Wong led off the game with a home run for the Cardinals, and now Hayward leads off the 9th with a solo shot that ties it.
First home run off Brad Ziegler in over 21 innings this year. That one just hung on that inside part of the plate, didn't have the kind of sinking movement we're used to seeing, and Hayward did not miss it.
And now here's Borges, who will hit for Manis. Just going to say that with his defensive struggles, it looked like Hayward was taking his slump with him out there, and it was affecting his defense. But he's got 2 hits tonight. And Borges bangs that one into left for a base hit. He's the winning run, and he can really fly.
And now you're rolling around to the top of the order. You've got guys who are capable of doing a lot of different things. Colton Wong can put down a bunt. He can play hit and run. He can take a few pitches, let Borges try to steal the bag. A real can of worms right now.
Wong is the hitter. Tomas well in on the grass at third. Goldie holding Borges on the bag at first. Wong led off the game. First pitch from Josh Colmenter, his 6th of the year. He's 1 for 4.
We mentioned coming into this series that Mike Matheny had only received one sacrifice bunt from a position player this year, and that was from Yadier Molina. No guarantee that Wong's going to be putting down a bunt in this situation.
Yeah, this is going to be a real cat and mouse game here with the way this guy can run. In fact, on this ball club, if you're going to pick one guy who you didn't want to be on base as the winning run, you'd pick Peter Borges. Hunter holds, pitch out, nothing doing. Tomas still several steps in at third. Runner holds. Ball 2.
And despite his submarine delivery, Brad Ziegler unloads the ball to home plate fairly quickly. Only 16 career stolen bases against him, 7 caught stealing, and over 770 opportunities.
Borges holds again. Misses away again, and it's 3 balls and no strikes. Addison Reed getting busy in the Diamondback bullpen. Borges at first as the winning run, nobody out. 3-0 to Wong. He's got Carpenter and Holiday behind him. Borges holds again. That one is in there. Strike 1. In there, it's full 3-2. Carpenter on deck. He used to be the leadoff guy. They dropped him down at the beginning of this month into the 2-hole, and Wong has really taken off as their leadoff guy. He's hitting nearly .340 this month with 5 home runs. 3-2 pitch from Ziegler. Borges takes off for second, and Wong fouls that one away. All these games have been close. Each one so far has gone the Cardinals' way. Diamondbacks trying to get back in it. Borges takes off. This is in the hole at first. Pennington has it. Borges advances, and they get the out on Wong. So now the winning run is in scoring position with the 1 out. Here's Carpenter. Matt Carpenter walked in the 5th. He is 0 for 3.
It seemed to make a lot of sense to walk Carpenter right here, get your righty on righty matchup with Matt Holliday, not exactly the most desirable matchup in the world, but would set up a potential double play.
And that's what they're going to do. They will give Carpenter the free pass and work to Holliday. No disrespect, but I'd rather pitch to Holliday here too. This guy's a really good hitter.
Yeah, Holliday has a chance to swing and miss. Carpenter's probably going to put the ball in play somewhere.
He's a tough out. He really is. Especially with Ziegler out there on the mound, you want that double play possibility with one out. So here comes Holliday. First and second, one down. Matt Holliday single in the fifth. 1 for 4. He has struck out twice. Borges, the only run that matters. He's the winning run at second. Holliday has 5 hits in the series. Ball 1. Saw Jason Hayward a moment ago. His error gave the Diamondbacks the lead. His home run to open up the ninth tied it. And Holliday here has a chance to win it. Two and 0. This is there. 3 balls and no strikes. Peralta, who hit a walk-off homer to win Monday's game, is on deck.
Well, it didn't miss by much. That's where you want to be if you're Brad Ziegler and the Diamondbacks, down there at the bottom of the strike zone or even lower, trying to get that ground ball from Matt Holliday.
Yeah, that was a good pitch right there. 3-0. There's the strike. Hold on there, Matt. Eric Cooper, the crew chief, the plate umpire. That looked to be in the same spot. Jose Akendo has it at third, and it's full 3 balls and 2 strikes.
There's a chance you could start the runners here to try to stay out of a potential double play, but Holliday strikes out a bunch.
Run yourself right into an inning ender. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Ball 4. Bases are loaded, and now the winning run is 90 feet away with a 1 out. Chip Hale. He's had Addison Reed warming. There's no one throwing right now in the Diamondback bullpen. I think he's going to call Trumbo in here. He might be going with a 5-man infield.
I think you're right. You leave your 2 best, 2 fastest outfielders to cover as much ground as they can with 2 guys, and bring Mark Trumbo in as a 5th defender on the infield.
Well, they'll figure out what to do here with Johnny Peralta. Right on the cusp of extra innings. They're going to need a mitt change. Andy Green has the new mitt. Got to get rid of that outfield glove. Peralta was the hero in extras Monday when he led off the 10th against J.C. Ramirez. And that sent everybody home, and he's got the chance to send them all home here with a series sweep. Bases loaded, 1 out, 3-3, bottom 9. And he has been a problem for Diamondback pitchers. Five-man infield for the D-backs. Borges is the winning run at third. Carpenter at second. Holiday at first. Bases loaded for Peralta. Tomas coming home. They get one and they can't get two. Pacheco throws it away, and the Cardinals win the ball game.
Chip Hale's trying to hold him up right now. That slide into home plate by Pete Borges, I'm not so sure he can reach home plate. Got a piece of Jordan Pacheco forcing him to throw that ball wild down the first baseline.
Bases loaded. They get the force at home on Borges. Pacheco in for the injured Tuffy Gozawish. Tries to get Peralta at first and complete the double play.
Yeah, it looked like Borges was close enough that he could have touched home plate right there. Yeah.
But that's going to be it. A tough way to lose the ball game. The Diamondbacks go into the bottom of the 9th holding a 3-2 lead. And they lose it 4-3. And the Cardinals, Major League Baseball's best record, now 18-5 at Busch Stadium this year. They get the 3-game series sweep. Lots to talk about here with this one. Diamondback Live postgame show is next.